Have a seat. When you're ready, Mr. Lucky.
Okay, so you testified a lot today, and met the preliminary exam with me, correct?
Yes.
Now, what, probably about an hour or two at this point. How much time do you have to fill out your quiz?
Like 5 minutes tops.
Were they asking you all the questions we're asking you?
No.
So, was there stuff that was left out?
Yes.
Now, did they provide any follow-up questions, like where?
Uh,
Um. Did they ask how many times you were slept?
no.
Now. We talked about a lot of your assumption with your child safety.
Yeah.
Why did you make those?
Because where would I expect you not to left that home at 12 o'clock that night?
Okay, and were you surprised at the actions of the defense on that day? So, what did that leave you feeling about your daughter's protection?
Promise.
Were you feeling that your daughter? What were you feeling about your daughter in the defendant?
She could possibly be in the car where I left that home.
Okay, and what's wrong with that?
So safe.
Why?
Because you're watching.
Okay, cool. Is something about the defendant's action on that day make you feel that way?
Yeah.
And what is that?
I'm carrying.
Did the police ask you about it?
No.
Why did you volunteer that?
Because I wanted to make sure my daughter was safe. I say you safe. Please.
Right. Now, at that moment, did you know all of the answers?
No.
And with the 5 minutes that the police asked you, coming into all of that, did you know every single thing that happened?
No.
So that doesn't make it untrue, right?
Yeah.
You were asked 5 minutes, right? How long did it take you to fill out your statement once the police? Or I'm sorry, scratch that. You said it took 5 minutes to fill out the statement. And the police came shortly after she left, right?
Yeah.
When did you fill out the statement? Compared to when she left? How much time did you?
She was literally in the back of the police car and they that's about what started. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was that
I would say about the approximately, I'd probably say 5 minutes to.
so? 5 minutes after all this happens, the police arrive.
No.
5 minutes after they arrive, you're asked to fill out a statement, and then 5 minutes. You take to fill out that statement, they're gone.
Yeah.
So that was about the same time that jury was out. Because they took a break, is that right?
Yeah.
Now. Part of what. That conversation on that video was. Did she talk about Amanda at all? She being the defendant.
I don't. I haven't watched them.
That's okay. Was she saying, so she said, she threatened to kill Amanda, did she threaten to kill you?
Don't think so. I don't recall.
Do you know, did she express why she was mad at it?
Uh,
I have nothing further.
Okay. Recross.
Specify that he asked you if she threatened to kill you, you said, I don't recall.
I don't remember.
you'd agree that somebody threatened, why that's pretty serious stuff, but you don't remember whether that happened.
She did, Amanda's like.
Question was about, you said you didn't remember if she took.
No.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, sir, you can step down. Watch your step on that ramp. Mr. Lucky, who's next?
So it's almost a minute.
I'm assuming you guys are okay to keep working? Last name Atkins? That's fine. Right up here, man. Watch your step on this incline ramp. You're gonna take that chair right there. Raise your right hand for me. Swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Settle in. State your name and spell your last name.
Atkins, ADK,
Thank you. Mr. Lucky.
Good afternoon, Miss Atkins. So, do you know an individual by the name of Diana? How do you know that individual?
like so.
Now, did you see her on May 19th, or, I'm sorry, did it May 19th, 2025? No, I'm sorry. May 18th, 2025. I don't know why I was not. Scratch all of that, I'm so. Did you see that individual on May 18th of 2025?
Did I see the faces?
Okay. Now, you didn't see her face, did you hear her voice? Okay, where did you hear her?
Ma'am, pull that mic a little bit closer to yourself. There you go.
On my front porch and then into the kitchen.
Okay, and your front porch, is that your property?
Yes, my single wide trailer in Springs.
Oh. So, you heard her that day. About what time what,
That was after at work around the the Friday.
now? So. What happens right before that?
We had gone home from a tattoo appointment.
Okay, and who is we?
Me and Caleb's pet.
Okay, so you both just come over and tattoo, you're in the bedroom. Okay.
Yes, we very well fitting at the door. And then he walked through the hallway to get to the kitchen, to get to the front door. And then proceeded to crack the front door, see who it was, and then the door was pushed.
Okay, so you can't testify as to what anyone has told you,
Understood.
or what Caleb told you.
Understood.
Just testify as to your memory
What I heard.
and most importantly, what you heard. So, what do you hear?
I hear a bang. We look over to each other, me and Caleb. And he goes to see who's at the door. I
And then what do
hear,
you hear?
as I hear him walking to the front, I hear, come out and talk to me. Why won't you just talk to me?
Okay, and
I hear a few cuss words that I would rather not repeat, and then the door is opened, and that's when I hear the couple, yes.
okay, so you hear you yelling.
Yes,
Do you know whose voice it is?
I can hear a woman's voice, which I can only assume is Megan from previous videos and things that I've heard.
Okay, so from your prior knowledge about how she sounds, you're able to surmise that this is her.
Yes,
And at one point in time, do you realize you're her?
when she's back onto the front porch. And, well, I mean, obviously, he's not gonna say her name Megan if it's not Megan, so the whole time he's saying, Megan, you need to leave, Megan, you need to get out, Megan, you can go to. So obviously, at that point, I did know that this was the person I was thinking it was.
So you know who this is. Did you invite this person?
Absolutely not,
Okay.
absolutely not,
Why did you answer it?
because she should have never known my address. She was never told my address, she found that out through a way that we are unsure of, other than, the email was still linked to something that she owned and was able to see that, because my address was on there.
Okay. So, moving, so you hear this individual come in the home. And do you hear yelling?
Yes.
Okay. Now. Now that you hear yelling, what do you hear after that?
I hear yelling, I hear can I say the words that I heard?
You can now say, well, you can say,
With discretion, obviously, I heard you got it covered up, why the F would you get covered up, let me see it. And then I hear a very loud slap, skin to skin contact slap. I'm in a very small house, so I could definitely hear it. And then I hear some pushing, and some scuffling, I'm not exactly sure what happened, he claims that he was pushed into the
well,
counter, I
so I'm gonna cut you there. You can't say what anyone claimed, but you can testify as to whatever you heard, including.
Yeah.
You can now say what anyone else said, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead.
I heard scuffling, I heard, anger back and forth between why are you here, why the F are you here, please get out of the house, leave, why are you here? And she is now saying, let me talk to her, that coward, I would like to talk to her, let me at her.
Okay,
And that's when I heard the scuffle start, and then within seconds, she was back out onto the front porch, and the door was closed.
so I wanna ask you, so you're saying one voice is saying. Get out, all of that, who is that?
That's Kate.
Okay, and another voice is saying,
Let me at her, I want to talk to her, let me see that coward. That is the woman's voice.
now, do you hear that voice coming closer?
Yes, very close to the point that I walked onto the other side of the bed. To
Okay.
get away from the doorway.
What else do you hear?
I mean, that was, most of it was the scuffle in the hallway. And then it went silent for a second, and then she was back up onto the front porch. In the midst of her being back on the front porch, I hear a very loud crash and glass shattering, and that was my front porch light. So when the screen door swung open, it had crashed, and then that it's just a lot of yelling back and forth.
So, do you know what caused that crash?
What caused the crash? I did not see it. So, and I did not have home security at the time, so I cannot tell you exactly what happened. But it was the struggle that pushed the door open and the door had slammed back into the lights and door.
So. Are you threatened today?
Am I threatened?
Yes. Or
No,
were you threatened today?
I was very scared.
Okay.
That's why I've been,
Were you verbally threatened?
yes,
Do you know the specifics of stuff?
I do not recall exactly the specifics and I would not like to string words together.
Okay, and shit. So, after the door closes, do you come out of the bedroom?
Yes.
And what happens when you come out of the bedroom?
I see, there's, like I said, I had heard the door close and immediately I started walking. So I could hear the door close. I started walking out and, I can hear him saying, you need to leave, I'm gonna call the cops, you need to leave. And that's when I told him, why don't you just do it, just call, And so that's when he started, I was trying to find my phone in the living room, he was trying to find his phone, we found the phone. And the whole time it's, why don't you leave, why don't you?
And I want to back up to the scuffle. So do you hear, you say you hear one fall to the chest, is that right? Only one?
Yes, from what I recall, the immediate instance was walk in, the screaming, let me see it, the slap. And then the scuffle, which was, I heard like. That's what I'm hearing.
And for the record, the witness is hitting the sides of the witness booth, creating a loud audible.
Yes, the thud.
Okay. And. Okay, so at some point, do you call the police or scare them?
Yes.
Okay, so he calls the police, what happens after that?
She leaves and then comes back. And says, I've never had this happen before. I don't wanna get in trouble. Should I stay? Am I supposed to stay? You're telling me to leave, but should I stay? He said, I don't care what you do. I'm calling the police, I already called them, they're on their way, and that's when she left for the second time. And after that, it was the police came.
And do you harbor any ill will towards your ex, who was
Absolutely.
your fiance's ex?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything going on?
As it,
Scratch that. Is there any legal proceeding going on between them to your knowledge?
they are currently in custody battle.
Okay. And do you have any role?
Absolutely.
Do you have any knowledge of that?
Necessarily. Something that we will tell you, that's, I'll have to figure out.
Yeah, if you're not involved, then
No.
give me just 1 second. Okay.
Mr. Hadl.
Mr. Atkins, if I ask you any questions today, don't understand what I'm asking, tell me, don't understand my question, I'll rephrase. Okay, so make sure you understand what I'm asking, so we're all on this same page. I'm going to a couple things foundation wise, like, it's true that on May 18th, 2025, when Megan came to your trailer, you were in the back bedroom the entire time, that she would have been on the threshold of the door, in the door, or in the kitchen, or on the way back out, correct? Did you actually know firsthand knowledge of, visually what was happening? You're basing all this off of what you heard.
Yes, I would consider myself an auditory witness. I don't hear, I only heard, I did not see.
That's fair. I mean, you can still, we can always learn lots sometimes from just hearing things, but you hadn't seen anything, you had just heard.
Absolutely.
It's true, though, that you made statements to the officers when they got there, asking what happened, about the events that had unfolded, right? Isn't it true that you're actually telling officers?
For the record, yes,
Yes.
not, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
While the officers were asking you and Caleb questions about what had transpired, what had played out, you were answering the officers' questions as if you'd seen what happened, right?
No, I had told them that I was in the bedroom. Yeah, I had told the officer the extent of what happened. And so the officer knew that I was not present for that. And I did not include that in my statement. as
The
well.
written
The written
statement.
statement, yeah, the written statement, I did nothing but tell them what I heard.
No, I just, I've got it right here. Thank you to complete your written statement approximately. It's not a gotcha moment to like the second or anything.
I really couldn't
Estimate.
guess, 5 to 10 minutes,
Okay.
yeah.
It wasn't 1 to 2 minutes that it took. It was closer to like 5 to 10
Because
probably.
me and the officer were conversating, and so I was back and forth between writing and talking and writing and talking, so that's the hard part about estimating the time. Because maybe if I were to just sit down and write that paragraph again, it would only take me a minute and a half, but I was very flustered.
You said you were really flustered. When you say flustered, you mean it was an emotionally charged situation?
Yes,
Were you emotional when you were speaking to the police?
yes, I was emotional.
Kind of went from emotional to lighter moments where you guys are joking and then kind of back to small talk about
Yes,
dogs and all sorts of stuff, right? So you testified that you and her, you got pretty good ears. I know you said it's a small apartment, but
very small trailer, and it's like a hallway, the whole thing is like a hallway, so that sound echoes very, very loud.
the slapping thing. Okay. So,
The speaking and the talking, all of it echoes the house like nobody's business.
so somebody slapped somebody hard, you definitely would have heard.
Oh, absolutely.
You only heard one slap.
I only have one slide.
Officers were taking your statement on May 18th, right after this happened. Did you mislead the officers in any way?
No, absolutely not, sorry. No, please.
What? Give me one piece of information that would have led you to believe that she had abandoned her child and left her child, send the police off on a goose chase to find the child for you. It was your evidence that was make that allegation.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I made an allegation, I made,
What would you call
a conclusion to the situation, because she wasn't there, so the child, in this instance, wasn't there. So that was more of me understanding the situation, trying to understand the situation.
it? You testified, well, let me back up. You told the officer that you never seen her before that night, correct? You never saw her that night, correct? Okay. Now, I want to go through the order of events. So you said you guys are both back in the bedroom, you hear a knock, right?
Oh,
Okay.
a bang,
A bang, okay,
a
we're
lot
talking
of banging, yes, on the door,
about, okay. And you said Caleb went to the door, right?
yes.
And how tall's Caleb?
I would say 6'3", 6'2".
Isn't it true that Caleb's tall enough to just look right out that nice glass window you guys have in your door and see exactly who's standing there?
We have a.
You know, yes or no, is Caleb tall enough to look out that glass window?
Well, the glass window was blocked by like, at least from what I remember, I think I had like a Christmas wreath up. But yes, you are right, He is tall enough to where if need be, he could look out the top window, yes.
It's really, because we can speed this up, so the next thing I'm gonna show is what the picture looked like, and I would be surprised if I showed you a picture of the night question of Caleb staring right out that window when the officers knocked on it to identify them as the officers.
Oh,
Right? Okay, so again, Caleb could have just looked out the window and seen who was out there.
Is that a yes?
But that's not what we're testifying at, right? You're saying that he opened the door and cracked the door.
cracked the door, yes. He cracked the door to speak to.
As the officer who stayed to take both of your statements, he was asking me, both you and Caleb, questions, right?
Is that a yes, ma'am?
Why are you answering for Caleb?
I can't say that I did. I can say that I agree with what the statements that we made.
So the officer didn't ask Caleb a question about being slapped, and you jumped in and repeatedly said, she slapped you in the chest. Verbatim said the exact same thing again. She slapped you in the chest. You didn't say that?
I did, I'm sure I did, because that's what I heard. That's what I can understand that happened, so I never meant to lead him into a conclusion on something, but that is what
You mean to lead the officer to a conclusion?
No, neither one, neither Caleb nor the officer, I never meant to lead anybody anywhere, I'm just saying what I heard, what I experienced. That's what I was trying to relate to the officer, to make sure that he understood what I was trying to say.
So you didn't see, I think we've established this, but you didn't see Caleb touch her to get her out the door, correct?
I did not see the entire incident. I didn't even see the slap that I am referring to, did not see it.
But at some point, the testimony you gave earlier today, she did come out of bed, right?
After she was already on the porch, after I heard the door close, I did come out through the hallway into the kitchen.
And it was your idea, actually, right? You said that Caleb was frantic, I think, so you testified to previously, right?
Yeah, after he had shut the door, I could see him, reach for his head and, he seemed very, upset. So that's
How
what
would
I told him.
Without saying what he said, what about his behavior made you think he was upset? Was he speaking excitedly? Was his voice raised?
I wouldn't say he was trying to speak to me, but it almost like he was speaking through me because he didn't know what to say. He was like, I don't know why she's here, I don't understand what's happening, and I told him, just call the police, and he's like, I don't know, and I was like, just call. So that's where, just being very out of it.
So it's true, however, that you did tell Caleb to start recording, right?
Yes, when she was on the porch and we had already called the police, I told him to, just record, yeah, continue the subject.
And during that recording, would you describe Caleb's behavior as frantic?
No, not in my video.
In fact, he sounded pretty calm, didn't he? Almost like no emotion.
That was after, and now knowing that the police was going to be on their way, that, everything that we had is, documented, we talked to the police on the way, we did nothing wrong, like, I think at that point, he had calmed down to the point where he knew that he didn't need to be as scared or as worried, because we already called the police, you're recording evidence, like, I don't think I needed to be frantic or nervous at that point, he had calm.
It pretty quickly went from frantic to,
Because when you know the police are on their way, and I mean, I personally had trusted the police in my area to handle a situation like that.
we all did.
Yeah, so, that was mostly it, just being calm by the,
So you could hear Megan when she was outside, correct? At that point?
yes.
And when I say that point, we're talking about after she'd been pushed back outside the front
Yes.
porch, doors locked,
Yep,
you guys were involved.
yeah,
Megan even acknowledged that you guys said we're calling the police, and Megan said she was aware of it, right? She knew, she heard you guys.
Yeah.
She didn't leave though right away, did she?
no, she had walked off the porch for, a few minutes and had come back and said that she didn't want to leave because she didn't want to get in trouble. And that's when we told her, whether you can either stay here or you can go, but we have called the police.
And you said you told her, in fact, they have your address, they can come find you. Say, paraphrasing, something like
I
that.
can't remember if I said that or not, but if I did that. I'm not sure.
So she didn't try to take off or flee right after this fracas that you heard happened?
Not.
You just testified
No,
she
she
stayed.
stayed on the front porch for a while, and was,
But after being told repeatedly, go, she fought. She said, okay, I'm not gonna wait for the police, I'll go. Right? I don't want to dwell too much on this, but there's just a few things that's loose ends with this. So this broken glass issue, what? You got good ears, you can hear it. It's a wooden door. Testified that you heard the door shut, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you hear the glass break?
that was after she had been pushed back out onto the front porch. It was the impact from the screen door swinging wide open with there's no latch to keep it shut.
Okay, so
So
like,
it swung wide open and it went full back onto the wall and had broken the light above it.
so I'm gonna use my hands here, kind of a, we'll call them a demonstrative exhibit. Nothing's going to the jury, but you all got to talk about it. So if the door, whoops, light's over here, right? Door swings open this way.
All will be open.
So today you're testifying that you think that light got broken by the door swinging open.
From the commotion of being pushed back out onto the front porch.
So it was during her being shoved out, not after she was outside.
It was during. Yes, during her being moved from the inside of the house to the outside of the house, the door was moved with her.
That's not what you told police officer the night that they got there, the 18th, fell about how the fuck's it.
Again, I'm not exactly 1000% sure because I did not see it.
No, but it didn't stop you
So,
from demonstrating to the police officers that you picked it up and threw it. Remember motioning through?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't recall.
I don't want you to testify to something you don't remember.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything that's, not my truth.
Just one moment to come.
No, I think we're just gonna belabor the process. I mean, I've done fussing with this. We don't need this. I'm just gonna ask you. You remember the certain details that you testified to today very clearly, very specifically, right? Other details you very much, I don't recall, I don't remember, right? So some stuff you remember, some stuff you don't.
At this point, it's been, 10 months. While, I know what I said that night, that statement. But there are some things that you're bringing up that I can't give you a clear concession around, like the words that came out of my mouth that day. Can't give you 100% exact when it comes to that.
Do you remember making statements to the police that indicated you had like personal intimate knowledge about who did babysitting for Caleb and
I don't,
Meg's child?
I don't believe that big statements. I, believe that I have, supported Abel's statements.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but how can you support Caleb's statements if you don't have any personal knowledge about what Caleb's saying?
I can understand that. I can,
I have to lie, I think, this is swimming in. So if I can get this to work, I will be sharing what's been stipulated to bottom one video. Yeah. Film the first one. Okay. So we've got a timestamp on this video and I'm trying to kind of speed through things to make this to move, but can you read the timestamp up here to see that says May 19th at basically it would be almost quarter after 13 minutes and 15 seconds after movement. You see that one on there? Okay. So what's this still that we're looking at? Where is it? What's that?
that is my front door, and where I'm standing is the gap between my living room.
Okay.
And then on the other side of me is my kitchen countertop.
Was this your first discussion with the officers? Well, I know they came in and out a couple of times.
At first, they had talked to Caleb on the porch alone, and then they had come in and talked with me. So if that's what we're looking at, is previous to this, he was on the porch with Caleb. Then after that, I was talking with somebody.
I have no idea how I'm gonna be able to play this without the echo. That seems to be the issue with using that.
So you can put it without the mom. Here.
I'm trying to get the audio. Oh, it's not this. Plans, right? Let me see.
So that won't be for you.
So, would you agree this is the moment that the officers are handing both you guys your forms to file your statements, right? Is this the part where you said you were kind of distracted as you're filming this up? You said this is when you were kind of distracted, you were talking and filling it out?
I would say, yeah, I was.
So everything from start to finish, make sure you're as detailed as possible.
The officer that you're speaking?
From when you enter the door all the way to outside.
Base 345 is your question here.
This would have been started
How was
at
that light outside?
30 to 15 seconds.
Is she-
We didn't have a
Oh,
light.
13.
It was on, it was like the thing was on there, but there was no light in it.
Okay, so she took it off
Yeah.
and
Threw
then,
it at the house.
okay.
So you seem to be out there explaining the story, right?
Yeah, even though I didn't see what was going on, which I understand, you know. I think I was just confirming what he was trying to say so that it made sure it got across to the officer what had happened.
But you didn't really know that.
Yep, I did not. So that's where it could have been pulled off and thrown, it could have been hit by the door. I do not want to see or, you know, say anything that's not, I did not see it. I did not see when the light broke, I did not see when she came in the house, I did not see when she went on the porch, I did not see it.
Are you worried that my client sustained injuries as a result of whatever you heard that night?
I'm not aware. I'm aware that we had to go back to the tattoo shop because tattoo looked at and they made sure that they rewrapped everything because it was brand new and the stuff had bursted open and yeah, really uncomfortable. So I know they both probably sustained a little bit of distractions.
So is it your testimony today that Caleb's chest was injured from the smack?
He just had a fresh tattoo and the fresh tattoo that is this wide. It was smacked.
Did you guys take a picture of it after it happened?
That would be, I can't.
You guys thought you were maybe much in the front porch, but you didn't take a picture of this injury that was so serious you had to.
I wouldn't say it was serious. I would not say it was serious. I just want to let you know that we did have to go back to the
You
tattoo
take care of yourself, you had to go back to a tattoo parlor.
because it's fresh.
Okay, can we have one speaker at a time, please?
It's the steri wrap that they use. We don't have access to that. It has to be removed and replaced. So that's what they were, you know, it had bubbled under.
But what I'm going for, there's no picture of that, right? No. We all sometimes wish we could time travel and say things definitely go back. Do you believe it was wise for you to be telling police officers somebody committed a crime and you actually didn't see it?
I heard it.
That was my question.
That night, that what I was doing was.
But you changed today when you felt confident about that. At least on some of these facts. That night you said she took the light fixture off and threw it. Today you're saying that's not what you think happened anymore, right?
I believe, at that night, I believe Caleb. And what he said and he saw, I believe, and I do believe now.
So really,
If
why-
he says that that's what happened, then I believe that.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. So
I did not see it.
so let's just, to recapitulate, I'm just gonna say what you said back to me as I heard it, which would be everything that you told police was either based on the sound or what Caleb said.
That's in my statement. I did not see anything. I
You have
heard
like knowing your,
thunder.
so that's, you heard a slap, right?
Yes.
And you and I agree that, you would have had no way of being able to tell from hearing it if she didn't want to slap. You didn't know if Caleb slapped her or she slapped him, correct? You didn't see it.
Yeah, that's a leading question, but okay.
Of course it is. It's a very leading question. That's exactly what we're doing here. So that's my question.
I guess, yeah. I guess, so.
So it's very possible that you would not have been able to tell who smacked who based on the sound. No further questions.
Redirect. Can we, I'm getting a little, are we done with the video? Because I'm getting some kind of an echo back. Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lincoln.
There's got to be a computer person on here.
There you go.
All right.
No, stop sharing, stop sharing.
I think I might come in Zoom.
Yeah, you are. I wouldn't be seeing it.
Heather, you need to go.
Okay. Redirect.
Yes. So your observations of Caleb's tattoo and what you've heard. What conclusion did that lead you to?
I mean, it's like beaches.
Okay, nothing goes.
I'm gonna redirect you.
Okay, ma'am, you can step down. Watch your step on the ramp.
At any of this time, you people are us.
Okay. You can step outside, man.
They're not going to be. Yeah, I think just have a brief 2-minute recess. We just want to get a discussion about what our.
Yeah. You guys okay?
And ladies and gentlemen, jury, yeah, well, if you guys would like a 5-minute break while we kind of move, so the prosecution is done with their.
I'll take care of the breaks. You take care of your client.
Be 2 minutes. If anybody wants.
You're wasting my time while you're talking to me. Talk to her. You're okay?
So you're on at this time, if the court's ready,
So yeah, now she's back on job. Officers. We'll just keep it.
so Your Honor, if you have a chance to look, timing and everything where we're at, the defense is ready to start our case in chief. Our first witness would be Officer besides.
Yeah.
Tim, you mind?
I think the sequestration order still stands. I don't anticipate you recalling witnesses, but you see a little milling around out there.
Officer, come on up. Raise your right hand as you come up. Swear affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth. Up here. Watch your step on my ramp. Settle up, settle down in the chair there.
So that's what I just want to see this.
State your name, spell your last name for Heather, please.
Officer Travis Giesmer, last name Diesmer.
Why do you have so much trouble with it?
I don't know.
It's spelled like it sounds. It's pretty easy. He's having a lot of trouble with it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, I can't work a computer. I can't talk. We got.
Then see if you can question.
Yeah, I can do. Thanks for being patient. I know you and I got here early today. We kind of got to talk here. So please state your name for the record.
Travis Giesmer,
I already got that one. Where do you work at now?
Riverview Police Department.
Okay, back on May 18th, 2025, where were you employed at?
Your Honor,
And what is your involvement in this matter that brings us to court today?
I was the initial officer that arrived.
Okay, and were there other officers involved in the response to the call for help?
There were my partner, Officer Gable, and my sergeant and Sergeant Paul.
Can you describe to me kind of the role that each of the three of you played as you guys investigated the allegations, what happened?
So I was the initial officer that arrived in Huron Estates, which is the townhomes or apartments, which we may call it. So I arrived there first. As I was arriving to the location, I noticed the defendant's vehicle leaving. I notified my partner. He made a traffic stop on the listed vehicle.
And the listed vehicle, was that being driven by the my client, the defendant here? Okay.
So at that time, he made a stop. I made contact with the caller. And then
And for the, to keep everyone on the same page, the caller would have been,
I believe that it was the male advocate.
okay. So, basically we've got your counterpart, that officer stops Megan, he's working with her, and then fair to say you're kind of the primary dealing with the complainant and with the man who's the owner of the residence, right? What was the sergeant's kind of function, between you and the other officer?
So she was kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. trying to make sure all the statements were taken care of, and then she was getting statements.
You also obtained statements, correct, from the complainant and from, Amanda, the owner of the house, right? I know you haven't had the benefit of hearing everything's been said today, but do you recall what the allegations were that night?
That there was an assault and that she forced her way into the residence.
Do you recall conversations about, an allegation that Megan had picked something up and actually thrown her at the house?
Yes,
Okay. In fact, when, the sergeant came back with you on one of those bounce back and forths, you even kind of filled her in, right? As you guys were walking up, she was like, "What is all this?" And talking about the broken glass.
right.
Okay. It's true that both Caleb and Amanda made really clear statements to you that night on what their theory of the case was, right? About how the glass got broken, about how Amanda got into the house. I'm sorry, Megan got into the house. Thank you. Did their stories seem, here's what I think happened, or were they saying, here is what happened?
I can only speculate, but to me at the time, it seemed like they were both being honest. And as my job, it's not for me to try and guess. I go based off statements and facts.
And they seemed committed to those facts as they were telling me, right?
Right.
They weren't wishy-washy about, I think maybe this happened. They were saying, here's what we think.
Right.
Okay. Caleb told you he'd been slapped on a recently, like a tattoo part of his body, right? Correct. You did complete a police report in this matter, right? I know, I'm gonna do the old, you've done a cross report. You've been trained as an officer of the law, correct? And one of the things they trained you in is how to do police reports, correct?
Correct.
And it's very important to include important details in your police report, so if you have to come back years later, you remember what happened, right?
Correct.
And did you, in fact, complete a police report in this one?
I did.
And do you recall stating that, or at least the portion of your report that would deal with like injuries, there were no listed injuries for any of the parties, correct?
Not that I can recall. I do think I remember that I put it in my initial report, but I don't think there was a specific part for injuries per se.
Okay. Just hold on here, I'll just wait a second. Did you do a neighborhood canvas to see if there's any, other cameras on any other like, residences around the area that would have seen what happened on the outside of the house or threshold?
Yes, so when I looked at the other house that the trailer was facing, there was no camera there. I looked across the street and I've been to the residence across the street prior, and they don't have any cameras either.
And the time you went to the residence across the street or something related, right?
Unrelated.
Oh, shoot. So. Just recapping here, you guys responded to a phone call. Plaintiff homeowner advised you what happened, what their version of the story is. You never actually received the speech record with my client, correct? Would you describe the kitchen area to the best of your memory? Did it look like a big scuffle that just happened in that kitchen area when you walked in there?
I can't recall, to be honest with you.
If I showed you a picture kind of what that area looked like, could you give me a?
I want to say it was an L-shaped kitchen, so when you first walked in the door, you ran into the corner of it, and then it kind of what's the back of the house.
If you'd seen the thing ransacked or stuff knocked over in disarray, you would have included that in the report, though, probably, correct? Okay. And in this report, we can go through it and refresh your memory, I guess, sort of impeaching you, my witness, but, would you agree that's not in the report? There's nothing in here that states that the house looked like it had been, ransacked or that anything had been knocked over, you include that?
Not that I can recall, but I don't have it.
Are you aware that Alice never saw any of what occurred that night? She was only, as she described it, an auditory witness.
Okay.
Were you aware that she didn't, you recall her telling you she didn't actually see anything?
When I spoke to her, I believe she said that she was in the bedroom.
Okay. Well, I don't think we have. Do you recall, do you recall being asked some questions about, Caleb asking questions about how do I go get an emergency custody order for kids, for his kid?
Not all, just a-
If I played the video for you, you wouldn't, I guess you're not contesting the fact that that was said, you just don't recall, correct?
correct.
You are not in the line of giving out legal advice to, people in the line of your duty, right, of how to proceed with family court matters, are you?
The only thing that I would ever speculate on is those, but that's really all we get into.
And PPOs kind of fit in with like, no contacts like assault and crunch, right? They're kind of a little more joined at the hip than like custody type issues, right?
Somewhat.
So you wouldn't feel comfortable somebody in your line of duty asks you, hey, how do I go about filing paperwork in front of the court? You wouldn't be giving advice, right?
I mean, if you had knowledge on it,
No, you personally, like, would you feel comfortable if you're responding to a call and somebody gets done with describing what happened, says, hey, by the way, can you help me navigate the family court process? You would tell them that, sorry, that's not what I do, correct?
Okay.
I'm asking, like, would you give legal advice to somebody about family court matters?
well, and that's the thing, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, if they're asking for advice, you could always help them with advice.
That's fair. That's fair. And I guess really where I'm going with was is that, yeah, just your role that night, simply to go out, gather the facts as they were presented to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you did that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you submitted your findings to your supervisor, correct?
Correct.
We Detective Jolly, and he obtained a warrant, correct?
Mhm.
All right. And was that pretty much the end of your involvement with this?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness. So pass the people actually had any issues on for all second. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that. No, I don't think we have any questions.
Also, you can step down, watch you step on my ramp. Thanks for being here today.
I know that speaking for brother counsel, I feel comfortable with this one. Thank you for your.
Be safe,
Yes.
and you can take off.
Yeah, we tested these.
Yeah, I just did. Next.
Your Honor, my client and I had discussed, yeah, her constitutional, I'm not gonna drag myself on the flag, and you know what the Constitution says. It's my client's knowing and informed decision, she absolutely would like to take a stand and tell her story.
Come on up, man. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, come on up here, watch your step. When you're ready, Mr. Hadley.
Megan, you've had to listen to me bump my guns all day, so you've heard me tell the other witnesses, I ask you a question, same thing. What you're asking me, tell me that. I want everybody to be making sure I'm asking fair questions to get the right. Or correct answer is not yes or no, just what you need, okay? How do you know Kate?
It's my ex-fiance and my mother, my child.
And your relationship, we're gonna try to keep this quick, 'cause I know some of this has already been stated, but how long back did you guys start your relationship?
He started dating. Okay, we're in the 22.
And when did you guys have you only had one child?
Yes,
And when was your daughter born?
she was born March 9th of 2022.
Has it been all smooth sailing since your daughter was born with you and Caleb? What's I'm gonna be very careful here. I don't want to ask you the specific facts or allegations that happened in your family court case, but what I'd like you to tell me is, without saying what the accusations are, what has been your experience in family court? How long have you and Caleb been involved with the family court system?
I'm involved with the family court. I want to say Jamie Clifford. My daughter was 3 months old.
Okay, what caused, because your daughter's only 3, what, again, we're not gonna say allegations to what, who did something, but what brought you, Caleb, and your daughter into the purview of the family?
We, my,
And just,
No.
I think that's an object around. Why?
Absolutely, Your Honor. So what my response, respectfully would be that, we've heard testimony from the complainant himself, and we went into on cross-examine appropriately some of the areas for potential bias and motive for one to either have an angle, here in this case, or potentially motive to at least be less than objective with what he saw happen that night. I think it's very relevant. We're not going to get into what she's saying or CPS is saying or anyone else is saying, who did what, but I do think that a base understanding on where they're at in the family courts and what the current arrangements are is relevant. I can try to keep this as quick as I can.
I think the fact that, would you classify what's going on as a custody dispute?
at this, the beginning, no. It was,
Well, and Judge, and this is what I think is the issue. I think what's important is they're feuding over custody.
Something to do with the child.
thing.
I think we're on thin ice to get any deeper than that.
That's a better question. And also, I'll rephrase. What's the current legal custody arrangement?
we signed an affidavit of parentage in the hospital. So it's, we both kind of have, I guess I have custody.
So you heard Caleb testify earlier, right?
Yes.
And when he said that basically the judge said you get full say in how that plays out,
Oh, yes.
would you agree with that's pretty accurate with what the current situation is? Yeah, then,
I'm sorry, we're on the after the family court stuff now.
we're still talking a little bit about, we're not gonna go real far into it, but, without saying anything that's been said to you, do you feel that the trials and tribulations of you guys with the family court cases, that had a impact on the relationship with you?
Significant.
Can you describe how it's impacted your relationship?
We have argued almost every argument or issue we've had is involved that case
Okay.
or the custody arrangement.
In relation to May 18th, when there's the alleged incident that brings us all here today, how was the relationship? What would you describe your relationship status as at that date and time, May 18th?
He was still, the way he was making it seem was like he was in between whether or not he wanted to continue his relationship with Amanda or try to go to his mom's house and work on himself and make things work with us as a family.
Okay. And I know that, let me just back up. So was there a period of time that, after all the family court case starts, well, let me back up. When the family court case starts, are you guys living together at that time back at the beginning of 2022?
When she was first born, yes. Yeah.
Once the allegations and the whatever happened, the family court case started to develop, was there a point in time where you two stopped living together?
Yes.
What? Tell me why. Or what happened? Did you tell?
He left the house, to live with his mother.
Okay. And to your knowledge, he in fact moved out of your place and go live with his mom?
Yes.
When did you first have knowledge that you may be on and off again with, that there was another party involved in Amanda specifically?
About the end of April of 2025.
How did you learn, or what led you to suspect that Caleb was seeing her?
We had a computer skill at the apartment that we were in together before we moved out with his mom. And it was still signed into his email address and stuff. So when he wouldn't respond to me or wouldn't talk to me, I wouldn't know what was going on with him. I put him an email or see what he was doing, try to figure out what was going on, and then I found the email about an Airbnb, something where it had a.
When did you find the email about an Airbnb? Approximately, this is
Yeah,
not a gotcha moment, just.
It's happened at the, end of April.
Okay, and we're talking about a month or so before this incident at Amanda's trailer, that's right?
Yes.
So keep going, what happens when you are looking at his?
I saw the name, and saw it was an Airbnb for 2 people. So at that point, I just put 2 and 2 together, that we received somebody else. And she was lying, you know, at the time. Brought it up to him.
At this time was, had anything changed in Caleb's requests to you about parenting time?
Yes, from when he left the house, like early April,
This would have been to go live with his mom?
Yes.
Okay, what he told you. Okay.
He started to want to be alone with Bella, or take her out away from the house. And it was one of my stipulations going off of what was said in family court, that he not to be alone with her at all. I'd have to be around.
I'm not gonna ask you the why, I think that covers, I think we've satisfied, we haven't gone too far down that, okay. You find out about a month or so approximately before the May 18th incident that this is going on. Does there become a point in time where you try to get in contact with them? By phone or by text message, that, anyway?
Yeah, I looked up her name once on Facebook and tried to send her a message, but I couldn't like send her a message about being a friend.
Okay. What were you hoping to message her about?
I knew that he was lying to her about seeing me, because he would often his phone would be off. I would assume his phone was off because the calls would go to voicemail and nothing was delivered. So I knew that he was lying to her about still talking to me, and I mean, we're still talking about like romantic things and things that you wouldn't. You shouldn't be talking to someone else with, I feel, if you're with someone else.
So you tried to get in touch with her through social media, that doesn't work. Did you in fact at some point make a phone call to her?
Yes,
Explain how that came to be.
on, May 17th,
So the day before this alleged incident.
yes. I sent her his, on the same computer that I was on, his Facebook was on, and I found what out there. I sent her a message from his Facebook,
Okay.
and then I called her from, I believe, the Facebook. And we were talking.
Now tell us what she said, but you can tell us what you talked about, just not what she said.
We talked about what I said in the message that I sent.
Your concerns about
But not what.
being misled.
Yeah, and, I did tell her about things about family, what we talked.
So approximately how long? 2-minute call, 1-minute call, 20-minute call?
I want to say no more than 5 minutes. It ended kind of abruptly. It sounded like he grabbed the phone and ended it.
We heard a lot of audio witnesses today, so what did you hear that made you think that he ended the phone call?
Her voice got further away and there was like a scuffling. I'm doing this, that's what it sounded like that. So,
Let the record reflect she was making a motion showing that Lexi on the phone like this.
Noted.
So phone call ends, this is on the 17th. Did you see Caleb face to face on the 17th at any point in time, the day before this all allegedly?
before I made contact with Amanda at the Facebook, he came over earlier that day,
Came over to where?
my house, my
Okay.
garden.
How would you describe, not tell me what he said, but how would you describe your conversation then? On the 17th?
We were talking about our relationship. Our situation with Isabella.
Your daughter?
Yes. And I was asking him if he was in for therapy, like I asked him to. Or if he was gonna. He focus on himself rather than start a new relationship with someone else. I felt like that was more important when it came to the situation we were dealing with this fellow. We're going through issues with her, and he was starting a new relationship, didn't make sense to me if he needed to work on him.
Would you say that you guys were yelling at each other that day, or was it a peaceful conversation?
I would say that was a peaceful conversation.
Did you have any reason to think on the 17th that you were gonna talk to him or see him the following day, the 18th, the day that this alleges?
I did because of, so I guess not on the 17th, no, it was the morning of the 8th.
So you saw it in the morning of the 8th, you're saying?
He messaged me in the morning of the 8th.
Again, these aren't gotcha moments. That's why we want to make sure, just so that everybody's clear on, what order things happen. Okay. So you saw it in the morning of the 18th, and you thought you were going to see him later that evening or that
Not
day?
see him, but talk to him.
Talk to him.
Specifically a phone call.
Okay, so he told you there'd be a phone call. What happened? Phone call ever occurred?
No, I tried to call him multiple times and his phone seemed to be was off. So the phone was off. I freaked out. I go to the computer, where are you at? What are you doing?
Okay. And when you were on the computer kind of freaking out about where are you, did you try to locate where Amanda lived?
Not until I saw where I saw it. I saw it.
What'd you see on the computer that sent you on that search?
I saw an email from a
Judge, I think this is hearsay. I think whatever's meant to email is about a court statement and it's being used.
Let's say they have
It's something she read.
Yeah, I would say it'd be a clear exception under the effect on the listener. Again, we're not saying that what was stated in the
Yeah.
email is in fact factually true. In fact, I think that the testimony that's going to be solicited on this one would just essentially concur with what the complainant already said. He went and got a tattoo that day. Is that the email that we're talking about?
First of all, I don't think it's hearsay if she's telling me what she read on the computer. So I'll allow it for all kinds of good reason.
So not a hearsay, so you're good to answer. Do you remember what the question was?
on the email.
So yeah, you said that you, before you started trying to figure out where he was, you saw something or read something that sent you down that path. What'd you see?
It was a waiver from a tattoo parlor. When something you fill out to get a tattoo.
Okay, why that question?
Because I knew he had a tattoo of my name on his chest. And, because I had just spoken to her the day before. I was used to this pattern of whenever there was an argument, there would be a grand gesture afterwards to try and make up for it. So I figured that he was going to get my name covered up, so she would feel better about learning everything she learned the day before.
In preparation for this trial, you and I have been together a lot, and we have, well, let's talk about what have you reviewed, what have you looked at getting prepared for today?
I looked at, all of the camera.
We call it BWC, body worn camera.
All the body camera footage from the officers, and they were speaking to me, some of it was, Atlanta, and, videos that, they put in there, the one up in the house that he was reporting.
The one that was kind of hard for everybody to hear earlier. Let me ask you about that. Okay. So we heard testimony that video occurred after you had been put back out in the front porch.
Yes.
Okay, would you agree that that's when you could hear your own voice? Is that when that happened? Okay. Did you at any point make any threats?
No,
You didn't threaten Amanda?
no,
You didn't threaten Caleb?
no.
Okay. So you're upset. You read about the tattoo, you kind of start putting two to two together, and you realize that I need to go talk to him.
Or
What do you do at that point in time?
I looked up her name.
And you say her, you're talking about Amanda?
It's like some yellow pages type of website.
Some of us here know what yellow pages are, but yes, that actually used to be a big book that were all yellow pages. And so it was an online website called Yellow Pages.
I believe that was the name of the website. I don't know the name of the website, but it was something like that. And, they pulled up her name, her age, I knew her age. And,
How do you know her age?
he had told me.
Okay. So you find what you believe to be her address on this Yellow Pages?
That yes?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because she's got to type it. So, okay. How you feeling emotionally at this point in time?
Upset, and I wanted answers in my face. That's what I want.
We're gonna need,
Want to keep going back and forth like you was. Like being everybody. Forgotten.
you drank any alcohol that night?
No.
Used any drugs of any kind?
No.
Are you on any medications that would have caused you, that night to not remember or to do anything different?
No.
You're just emotional.
Yes.
So you got the address. About what time of night do you think you found the address? Approximately.
Somewhere around 11:20 p.m.
And what did you do right after you found it?
About.
You had a time travel machine. If you had a time travel machine, would you have gone over there?
Mhm.
We don't, do we?
Mhm.
So let's talk about what happened. So you
I
pull up. What do you see when you pull up? Because you're still trying to figure this out.
Yeah, so, first I was looking for his car, I knew what his car looked like, it had purple rims,
Purple rooms.
yes,
Which is pretty
yeah, I would know who said it.
conspicuous. So did you see the purple rim in the vehicle?
Yes, so I knew I was at the right address. I walked up to the porch, I knocked on the door.
Okay, now you've heard testimony today that you were, well, we've heard testimony of a couple different versions of what happened, so. Describe to me how you approached and knocked on the door. Or did you knock? I'm just gonna ask you what happened.
I opened the glass or the screen door, the door on the outside, and I knocked loud enough for someone to hear it. I was kind of banging the door down.
Were you yelling at this point in time or
No.
screaming out? Okay. So at some point is there a glass like half moon at the top of that door that,
Yes,
okay. Did you at some point see Caleb's kind of walking over to the window or into that little window through the door?
no,
Okay, so you got the glass door open, right? You're saying, you knock on the wood door. What happens next?
I hear Caleb's voice say, "Who is it?" I said, "It's me. I want to talk." He cracks open the door a little bit.
Did you get the feeling was he speaking really, really loudly or was he speaking more of a hushed voice at that point?
I would say loudly so we could hear each other, because
Okay.
it was, first it was through the door.
Okay, so the door's open. Wow,
This much
Okay.
for his face.
Okay. so it's only open a crack and he's standing right on the other side.
Yes, I can see his face.
Just gonna ask you one, Megan. Megan, were you invited into the home?
When he first opened the door, he asked what I was doing there. I said that I wanted to talk. And I asked if he got his tattoo covered. He said yes. I said, let me see. He's
What,
right
so, okay, so where are you standing when that conversation's happening?
on the porch in the
Okay.
front of
Okay, doors open partway, you're having this conversation, screen door open, wooden door partway open, you guys are like, Okay.
He didn't.
so what, no, he tells you, you guys are talking about the tattoo. He hasn't invited you in or you haven't walked in yet. That's about where we're at in time. So what happens after you guys are talking about the tattoo?
I asked him to see it. He then opens the door and backs up. So I walk in.
Okay, how far do you, if this is the doorway?
Yeah, probably about 2 steps in. Right there.
Okay. What happens next?
showed him the tattoo, I started to cry,
Why are you crying?
everything's upset me.
See that he had taken something that was permanent and covered over it?
He had covered up a tattoo with my name, he made it for 4 years.
It was upsetting. Were you crying?
Yes.
What's he asking, or without saying what he's saying, what happens now? So he's, well, let me ask you, how, show you the tattoo, how's this happen?
He had to lift his shirt, or I don't think he took it all the way off, but he lifted it up to show me his tattoos on one of the sides of his chest.
So you're not even sure exactly where, like, what you're thinking about, it's okay. I don't want you to answer something you're not sure of. He shows you the tattoo, you start crying, what happens?
So I just, as I was crying, it was like I had a tattoo in my dad said, I use what is already going back and forth, so when we're done, we're just like arguing back and forth, and like, if this sits and this thing, and it's just pretty much just upset, like, how did we do this? Why are we doing this? And let me talk to her.
Okay, so you did, now I'm just gonna ask you point blank, at some point, did you call out to her, or make a statement to her?
Yes,
Do you remember who made the first verbal contact between you and her?
I want to say it was her. I can't remember.
If you don't know, that's fine, don't testify if you're not sure, but you don't recall who said what
I
first?
don't know who said anything first. Between
I can tell you, a lot of us aren't proud about some things we say when we're angry, but it's important, what'd you say?
we were screaming at each other. I called her names. I called her a homewrecker. I called her a bitch. Yeah, see, telling her you're tearing my family apart and you want to do this and you feel comfortable with that. Come on, here and say that to me. Say that to my face.
So at this point, have you touched Caleb in any way?
No,
Has Caleb touched you in any way at this point?
no.
Okay, what happens next as you and Amanda are chirping back and forth?
We're screaming back and forth at each other, and this is when I started telling her, come on, and talk, and I'm sitting at you down the hallway, like, just come talk to me, and I've been saying this, I probably took maybe half a step forward.
So we started with 2 steps, there was 1 step, a 2 step, you're saying maybe another foot or 2 forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, just kind of more of the motion of going forward. Caleb was still in front of me, and when I did that, he took his arm and grabbed like across.
Let the record reflect, so we're gonna walk through, so you're saying Caleb took what, like where were you standing? You're kind of in the kitchen area?
Yeah, it was so.
Is Caleb standing between you and the door when you're in the kitchen area, or is he on the kitchen side?
He's on the kitchen side, I'm closest to the door.
So he's trying to move you towards the door, so he actually like puts an arm all the way around you.
He grabs me, squeezes me.
He squeezed you hard? How would you describe, like, okay, could you get free?
No, this is, I tried to push his arm off of me because he was, like, the way he squeezed, he was kind of with all his muscle. So he's pushing into me, and I was trying to push his arm off of him.
You're just trying to get him to stop squeezing you, is what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay. So were you successful in getting his arms off you?
No.
What happens after you're pushing? Where are you guys moving now?
Yeah, as he's like dragging me to the door. He's grabbing on my shoulder too with his other hand.
Mhm.
And he's got this arm around him, so he's just like dragging me to the door, and
Are you yelling or saying anything to him as he's dragging you, like, do you recall?
stop, let him go.
Okay. So you finally get to the threshold of the doorway. The door was the door open or closed as you guys were moving towards it?
The wood door was open, the screen door, I want to see they was hanging.
Okay, so the glass screen door, wood door's open, the interior door, glass screen door's right there. You guys are now kind of I'll call it a bear hug. He's pulling you out. What happens next?
So as he's pulling me out, The other door,
You say the other doors, let's just say wooden
Wooden,
glass, the
yeah.
wooden door, okay.
the wood door, he's trying to, it's like he pulled this arm around and he's trying to pull the door now with the arm that he initially had on me. Like,
So he lets go with you one of the arms and he's trying to shut the inside door to the house.
Yes, and my foot was getting stuck in the door because he was dragging me, so I was kind of on an angle.
In fact, when we watched the videos, do you remember Caleb saying anything about your foot? Would not state what he said. Do you remember him talking about you having a foot in the door?
Yes.
Okay. And can't shut the door. What happened? So you're kind of, again, on the way out.
I was screaming at him like, I can't, you're gonna break my foot. I can't get my foot out.
It hurt?
Yes, and he ended up like pushing the door back. It was kind of, he pushed the door back off my foot, so I'm almost turning this way to go out, and he just like picked me up and threw me on the porch.
So I saw Caleb today's wheel. He's a pretty big guy. Are you saying that both of your feet left the ground and he kind of just dumped you onto the porch?
Yes,
Where'd you land? Like, I don't mean like on the porch, but did you land on your head? Did you land on the feet like a cat? How'd it go?
I hit my knees and the palm of my hand, and this time, kind of like face first and on my knees.
And we're gonna come back to where we are right now, but I want to talk a little bit about your knees and your shoulder. You did encounter a police officer a little bit after you left Amicus, right?
Yes,
Okay, did he ask you questions about your injuries?
yes.
Okay. In fact, we've reviewed the body worn cam. At this time, Your Honor, I guess we would just, same kind of thing, I'd like to do a still shot just depicting what, the defendant's legs looked like when the officer was, speaking to her about what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry, please bear with me for one moment. I think I can do this quickly. I need to use my side sheet. Okay, so if I told you the officer's name who came out when you were in your car, well, tell me what happened. So we're gonna kind of circle back to the video in a second, but you're on your hands and knees. We'll come back to the injury. What happened? Are you on your hands and knees for 2 seconds, 20 minutes? What's going down?
Say for 30 seconds. Just to kind of that or I don't know. Figure out what just happened.
Okay. And once you figure out what happened, you get back up on your feet. What happens after that?
I started to walk, but one of the things that it screamed at me was that they called the cops. So as I started to walk away, I thought about that and turned back around and I asked them like if they actually called the cops. And I asked them, well, should I stay here because I'm not about to run away from anything.
In your mind at that point in time, did you feel that you had been the victim or?
Yes,
Okay, in fact. Well, I'll just ask the question, were you hoping that the police were running away right at that moment so you could tell them what happened?
yeah, I wouldn't mind talking to them at that point.
So there's a moment in time where then you decided to leave them, right?
Yes, after we were going back and forth arguing, I was on the porch, they were inside, we were just arguing mainly because I was standing there and emotional and had nothing else to do but stand there and know he was on the other side of the door, so we were just going back and forth.
So I know the audio was really hard to hear when we were listening to that. You heard that video before.
Yes,
You would agree that that was after, I think we already covered that, you were on the front porch.
yes.
So did you actually get pulled over or explain to us how you and the officer actually came into contact?
So, once I did get in my car and leave, I saw an officer, like a cop car, kind of sitting at the entrance to the trailer park, and I was driving normal, they stopped me, they had lights on, so I just kept going, and eventually, as I was driving home, I noticed that a cop car following me. So instead of, I just pulled over before they even put their lights on. Cause I knew it was following me. And most likely they were about.
So the officer approaches your car at that point,
Yeah, then we turned the lights on, and we both just smacked on, yes.
and after we go through the reports, this is Officer Gable that we're talking about, not the officer who you heard testified.
No.
And did Officer Gable make any statements to you about whether or not you've been injured and what happened?
Yes, I kept telling him a couple times that I got hurt with my knees and he did ask, to see it.
And did you in fact show him your knee?
Yeah, I pulled up my pants leg. At the time, I didn't even know what was going on, with my knee, so I pulled it up and then I saw that it was bleeding.
And did you sustain that injury when you were thrown to the ground on the porch?
Yes, after that is when I started.
Yeah. You know, I think everybody knows what scraped up knee looks like. I don't think they. Why don't you tell me, was there blood running down your knee?
Yes,
Didn't require stitching. And in fact, they asked if you needed any medical attention. What'd you say?
so,
And you did tell Officer
Gable.
Gable what happened, right?
yes,
Okay. And did you tell him the same version of events that you just explained to us?
yes,
But if you weren't done then, you had to tell your story again.
yes.
Who'd you tell the story to next?
Detective Paul, I believe it was, the blonde hair detective.
Okay. In fact, she even came up to you and read you your Miranda rights, correct? Said you don't even have to talk to me.
Mhm.
And you acknowledged to say yes. And you said, I won't talk to you, I'll waive my rights. Correct? And then you did in fact tell her what happened. Okay. Are you afraid, Caleb?
Yes,
Do you? I'm gonna ask you a pretty open question. Doing good, we're almost done. We talked a lot about today. There's a lot of preparation for you today. There's been a lot of nerves. It's okay. Take a minute. It's okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really think is important for the jury to hear to help them understand what happened?
I don't think so.
They did a great job. What you just did, most people don't ever do, and they're gonna accuse themselves. Good job. He's gonna ask you some questions on cross. Give me a minute, take a breather. And then depending on what happens, I may be getting back up to asking some questions. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, sorry for no movie time. I think you know the screen.
We've seen enough video.
Give me a moment.
I can-
Yeah, take the time, Gene, it's water, there's.
Yeah, I've got it in a bottle for here. So all the way so they can break the one. You're no different.
Correct. Hey, if we need it. Do you need like 5 minutes?
I can sometimes.
Oh.
She can keep the water there.
You have an answer to all questions. You're good.
You okay?
Was Caleb ever aware that you were reading this?
I'm not sure. I did tell them what I saw in the email.
But before that, you never, is it right that, I'm sorry, yes or no, that you told him that you were?
I don't know if I specifically said anything, but we've had a conversation. About the cancer and whether I was looking for this.
Is that the day before this?
The day before I didn't mention the birth certificate.
Okay. So. You found out this information.
Can we clarify which information?
Yeah. Finish. So you found out this tattoo you wrote about that email. About what time did you realize all of this?
Well, I found the email, I didn't necessarily know the tattoo was written yet, but when I looked at the email, it was probably 11:20 p.m.
Okay, so it's late at night,
Yes,
and then you stated, right, that then you were looking up everything you could on, or I'm sorry, that you were looking up the address of Miss Annie, is that right?
yes,
So you were pretty heated, is that right?
I would say I was upset.
Yeah, so you were upset, right? You're,
I wouldn't say it.
well, I didn't say it, I'm just saying, you're upset.
Yes,
So. Then. And then you testified that you're afraid of it, right?
yes,
So. Then what you decided to do. Is head over in the middle of the night. To, while you're upset,
yes.
to a person that you're afraid of. To have a confrontation. Okay. Now, are you jealous of me? Yes or no?
Right now, no, but
Back then, in that moment,
I would say probably, yeah.
yeah, you were jealous.
Hmm.
You were upset at her, correct?
But I was more upset at him, that I was emotional, and well, she kind of got thrown into it too, but well, I'm not really blame the other person, especially when they just know.
So yes or no? You confronted. Or tried to, right?
Yes,
Right. You said. And you testified to it. Say it to my face, right?
yes,
Alright. So you went to the stranger's house who you had to investigate. Got into their house. Started walking toward a bedroom that they were located. And said, say it to my face.
yes,
Now, once you knew officers were called. You stayed for a little while, right?
I did.
But then you left before they got there, right?
They kept telling me to leave.
Well, but if you thought you were the victim, as you said.
Hmm.
And you started to sit around, then you decided to leave, is that right? Yes or no?
Yes, I stayed there for.
So you decided to leave,
Hold on, one at a time.
Yes, I stayed there for a little bit, eventually I decided to leave.
okay. Then, you see an officer at the entrance of the complex.
Yes,
You did not wave him down. Yes or no?
no. No, I did not leave.
So you kept on driving, right? And then you were interviewed by, well, two different officers spoke to you, right?
Yes,
And in their report, you didn't tell them that you fell on your knees, is that right?
I told them I was falling on the porch and then I hurt my finger.
You did?
Yes,
Okay. Because I have had the opportunity to read both officers' reports and then the summarized report done by this detective. And we all just heard how important that police testimony, report writing, and the lack of it is. Would it surprise you that not a single one of those incidents mentions that you fell in the case? Would that surprise you? Not a single one of those reports mentioned how you fell or telling the officers that you fell. And that was surprising.
You said the EMT report, this is a summarized report?
Yeah, so the officer summarized reports, and then the two officers that talked to you also included that. Not a single mention in any of those indicates that you fell in this. Is that surprising?
Yes.
So, and when you spoke to those officers, you didn't tell them that you investigated where Amanda lived, right?
I believe I did tell the detective fellow that I had looked her at and stuff on Google.
Okay, then would it surprise you? And we know how important these reports are, and they summarize their conversations with the individual. If that's not in there, it must not, would it surprise you if that's not in her report?
Yes.
So when you go there, is your intention to steal Caleb?
No.
You want to Caleb, right? And
Wanted him to focus more on our situation, not necessarily wanting back in my home, but away from her.
well, right, so you wanted him back, right? I mean, that's what you said.
I don't think she did.
I just objection, I believe that that's assuming facts not under record.
Okay. You didn't want him where he was. You wanted him to focus on you guys. You wanted him to focus on your security. That's what you did.
You saw it in my opinion.
And his choice not doing that is what is upsetting.
Part of that and part of that he wasn't very clear on his choice. He was kind of weird.
Well, so I asked, that upsetting to you. You have to turn around.
That is my problem.
Okay. So these are all the rep. They're really yesterday though. Now. Council asked you, do you regret Neil's doing that? Is that correct? Do you regret those?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that he grabbed you and you never hit back, push forward.
When he grabbed me, I did push his arm to try and get him off.
Okay, just push it. There's no other information.
No, I didn't. Make
No.
it so long.
Were you slapped?
Where was I so? No.
Okay. And so you had the opportunity to witness and listen to what everyone there already said, right?
I think so.
Now, we've heard testimony of a slap deal. Was that right?
Yes.
Anyone? Oh, I do. Do you remember telling Ms. Atkins that you should be ashamed of yourself?
Don't remember those specific words. No.
Do you remember telling her that to something around the effect of God would be disappointed?
Something like that, yes.
So you did say,
Yes.
Is that related with you at the break?
If I regret specific things of
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So you have a lot to regret, is that correct?
Maybe just going and doing the job.
Okay, so you guys are gonna regret. And
She's already answered that. She said she regretted doing things. Let's move on.
now. There's at some point you testified the photos of the door, right?
Yes.
Now, was that upon first entering the home?
And do you know if this was, do you know? Do you have any other?
That was it. Now, and then you also testified that you landed on your knees at hands, correct?
Yes,
And then you testified that your knee was injured, correct?
yes.
Were your hands injured?
I remember them feeling like it, but there was no visible, big stuff sort of.
So if you're being dragged down, correct? And counsel kind of already demonstrated you're being dragged, your top half that was above your bottom, correct?
Yes.
And you're,
The objection, I think what my client's testimony previously was that if we're saying drug, I think she stated that she made it to the front porch, was on her feet with a foot in the door, was picked up, then thrown down outside. I don't have to read back to that, but that's what I recall being testified. I don't think she stated what the council's meeting.
I think she said he was dragging her to the front door with one arm around her and the other hand on her shoulder.
so, and then at some point, you get turned around, so 180 degrees, right? So a full 180, right?
Probably are like 9 feet.
Okay, so is there anything out, and then you fall on your knee, right? But you land on your hands, right? So if you land on your hands, what is closer to the ground when you start falling, your knee or your hands? So if I'm falling, what's closer to the ground right now?
I'll take judicial notice that most people's knees are closer to the ground than their hands.
I was ready to fall in slow motion. Judge, I don't think I have any further.
Mr. Hadley,
Dude, it's gonna keep it quick. Megan. Shake it up. Everybody, we can be relaxed. This is it. We can last round of this. I'm gonna ask a few more questions. And you guys are probably ready to get to the end of this as well. Meg. Didn't think we were gonna need to really play a video about a skin knee, but you were just asked questions about were you surprised that the police reports left out any mention of your injury? You remember answering, yeah, you were surprised. Why would you be surprised that they left that out?
So it was multiple times that it was.
And in fact, were you asked by one of the officers, were you asked by Officer Gable to show you the injury?
Yes, he asked me to show him when we saw it, and asked if I could let it go.
We got a timestamp up there, Megan, says that's a quarter after midnight on May 19th. Where are you?
I don't know, when I was, pulled to the side, and the officer came to my car. So that he asked me this about the kid in the back.
You didn't do anything while he was when he
No,
grabbed
I
you?
didn't punch.
Like,
I didn't. No.
No.
All I did was try and pull his arms off of me, and that's when he got me out the door, and I fell down.
Okay. Do you have any injuries or anything like that?
I don't. It's something on my knee. I don't know. Yeah. When I
Just a
on the
little
porch.
strawberry kind of thing.
Well, I guess.
Do you have any injuries or anything like that?
I don't. It's something on my knee. Yeah.
So I think this is point, Megan,
The pictures show that you had a bloody knee there at the bottom of the screen. You control the police officer put in their reports.
You don't want any medical attention?
Let's kill this off.
Thank you. I'm done with the video.
Thank you.
Megan, was that the only time actually during the interview with that officer that you mentioned that you've been injured, or did you mention it other times as well?
All the time.
To the other officer.
And when you say the other officer, you're talking about Sergeant Powell, she came to make sure you told the same story twice. Is that when you mentioned it again?
Yes.
Okay. Been a lot of questions today, just questions about if we had time machines, all sorts of things that don't exist, regrets, we all got them. This is just it. Point blank. Did you assault anybody? Did you break anything back?
I did not.
And were you, at any point, you force your way in? All right, further for questions to this witness, small rest.
Recross.
So we just heard on the video that it's correct that you said you fell, correct?
I should have known that.
Actually, I don't.
Okay. You can step down. All right, so folks, this, anything, other witnesses?
The defense will rest its case in chief. We have no further witnesses. We will. rest.
Any rebuttal? Okay, so here's where we're at. We're gonna take I'm gonna give you a break. I'm gonna keep them working. I'm gonna give you a break. We're gonna have a discussion about final instructions. That usually takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It'll take a few minutes for Heather to update all the iPads, and then we're back here, closing arguments. I'll give you the final instructions and you're deliberating. Okay, you all right to keep going? Okay, so let's give them a break while we keep that conversation going. And I'm gonna go get some more water and get her in here so she'll take notes as we're talking.
I thought you was in trouble, so you know where you.
Great. Oh, man. Okay, great, thank you. I went fast. What did I last night?
That's what's cool. It tells me.
Yes, no.
Don't go away, guys. We're working. All right, fellas, go to final instructions.
Voluntarily bring a felony into a misdemeanor conversation, but we did.
Final instructions on the tablet.
Let's see what we got.
You ready?
You're on the. We on the record.
Yep.
As long as we got the self-defense jury instruction.
No. We're gonna do it my way because that's the way she's used to it. We're gonna go right through all the instructions, agree, disagree, fine tune. Yep. All right, so page 1, duties of judge and jury, no changes there. Agreed? Presumption of innocence, burden of proof. Defendant not testifying. We're gonna scratch that. Yes?
Yes.
Evidence, I think those all get read 1 through 9.
Agreed.
Page 3, witness credibility. I think that's applicable 1 through 5, paragraphs 1 through 5. All right, page 4, elements of the crime. I think that is fine just the way it is.
Ryan, we find a time and a place for the affirmative defense after, or does it usually go in around those elements?
Right after the elements, I got time and place. May 18 within Wayne County.
Issue.
All right, deliberations and verdict, 1 through 5, okay. Penalty, good. Communications with court, 1 and 2. Exhibits, page 6. Instructions in the jury room and verdict forms. I'll let you see the verdict form. It's going to be pretty simple, not guilty or guilty. All right. I'm sorry?
Jacob actually sent it.
Okay. All right. So now if you go to sub menu again So evidence instructions. Page 1, defendant statements as evidence against the defendant. There's a lot of talk about all the different statements, so I could go either way on that.
I think should say, I mean, we heard a lot of what she said, especially from.
Josh, what do you think?
I'm for eliminating anything that just gets them to the end of it faster, but I had no objection to it. I just.
Okay.
I think it's redundant maybe because we have talked about it. a lot.
Yeah. How about circumstantial evidence? Flight, concealment, escape, or attempted escape? I don't think that's even applicable here. Well, I guess she left the scene.
I don't have an issue with it. I could address it in closing, so I got no problem with that.
Leave it or take it out.
I don't object at all.
Okay. Prior inconsistent statements used to impeach a witness. There was a lot of back and forth with that. I think that's appropriate. Stipulation was good. Motive's good. All right. Submenu again, fellas.
We got witness instructions, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Yeah, somehow I'm trying to get there. Yeah, okay, yeah, submenu. So get back to witness instructions. Impeachment by prior conviction will scratch. Paragraphs 1 and 2 will scratch. Number of witnesses I think is appropriate to leave. Witness has been interviewed by a lawyer. There was conversation about you prepping Ms. Beckham. Character evidence regarding conduct. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. Yeah. Scratch that, Heather. Yeah, paragraphs 1 and 2, and then expert witness, we can scratch that, paragraphs 1 and 2. We had one police witness, so we'll leave that. Sounds good? You guys have some special instructions?
Just the. Yes. So one would just be the affirmative defense of self-defense if there was an admission of physical touching when she pushed on his arm.
They kind of. He wants in. I think Jacob wants that one.
So did one of you guys want 416 in intent?
yeah.
All right. And no objection to intent? And do you care where it's at? As long as they get it, do you care which? Okay.
Hand me the intent so I can start putting that.
Yep. And then Jacob, I think you suggested 1716 actual injury not necessary. Any objection to that? Same thing, anywhere Heather wants to plug it in? All right. And then.
Yes, Your Honor, Ms. Beckman stepped with a text your mom.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to be in here for this. No, you take a break. And then 720 burden of proof, self-defense. Any objection? 7.20. So you want all of it, 720 and 722 paragraphs 1 through 6?
Yeah, it looks longer than this.
You got it up, Jacob? Yeah.
And Jay, if you find the email I sent on.
I got it right here.
1 second, I'll go print them out.
That's easier.
Both sides.
Having with you now.
Oh, yeah, no, jury, you said, I think we reached across the aisle and it was. So it's and everything else.
You fellows are playing well together.
Trish and I struggled to do this last time. You remember because we had a lot of redacted parts.
Yeah.
So are we doing the weighing conflicting evidence? No. So the actual injury is not necessary.
Actual injury is not necessary. We're gonna add that.
I have a problem with that.
Opposed?
So both of these go in.
That's
Again, wherever you want. What's that?
Definitely something, that's what we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it.
Forgot.
So did either one of you propose anything we haven't discussed?
Get the definition of force.
No, we didn't talk about that.
I don't care if it goes in. That was one of the other ones I.
I got a definition of touching, but you don't care if it's in there or not? Okay.
They seem like they got.
So are we satisfied? Okay, now you can take a break. Heather will update the iPads and then we'll get them back in here and I'll try to remember to give you a closing argument chance.
Based on today, today.
So hey Jacob, when you come back, you'll have to get out and open up again to reset on your tablet.
Do that to all these.
So.
Yeah, they can handle it.
So Jacob goes, then I go, and Jacob goes. And then Judge. It's last.
You know, does someone go in my office, Judge, because
No, whatever.
since he emailed it to me, I can just cut and paste it.
Yeah. Whatever easier.
Yeah, we could be here. 2 minutes, we could be here for 2 days.
Never know.
Typically, it seems weird though, when you have a deadlock jury, the closer to rush hour it gets, we usually start to kind of come to agreement.
Break them loose a little.
Like the research drafts to you.
Yeah, that's why I always leave it up to them.
I got Third Circuit, one of my max appeals that I'm looking at right now, and man, I got where the judge was coming from. But he really straddled that line. They hit about 7 PM and the third started saying questions. He basically is like, enough of that. He was like,
They were in deliberations already.
they weren't in deliberation for an hour. They kept asking for more things to come back. They wanted to see exhibits. And finally, the judge was like, there doesn't need to be any further deliberations. Either you're deadlocked or get it figured. It was kind of like, you can see where he's coming from, because I mean, they answered all the questions. They kept sending everything back. It's like,
Both trials that I had that went into day 2, the one literally they came back and they weren't in the jury deliberation room for half an hour. And the other one I think might have gone an hour and a half. It's like they were just punch drunk the night before. They just need a breather. Definitely not the norm though. The best I ever had was a drunk driving trial with Murray Slamovich. Neither one of you guys even know him. Murray was an old time prosecutor that was prosecuting for Van Buren after he retired from Wayne County. And Murray Duncan, local Romulus guy. Neither one of them talked much. And I'm not kidding you. Drunk driving, we picked the jury, held the trial, they deliberated, we were done before noon. They asked almost no questions on voir dire. They didn't challenge anybody. I mean, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Don't ask me the result. I don't remember the result, but I do know it was by far and away my fastest jury trial. But it's it was the kind of case, and both the attorneys were like, no nonsense. The next one, I'm going to limit you.
on my own.
I'm going to give you a time limit on your opening.
You do. I just think I didn't stick to it. I think you put 10 minutes.
I didn't hold you to it. But I think I might have told you guys this before because, and of course I'm up here. It's easy for me to look and you guys both talk too much, but it's a common problem with trial lawyers. So I did a lot of work in front of Judge Archibald in Wayne. And she told me that one day. She said, you talk too much. You spend too much time. I'm like, it's your fault. She bristled. She says, how is it my fault? I said, if your poker face wasn't so good, I'd know when I could shut up.
That's what Judge Mark does. You never read.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be able to read us, right? I mean, we're supposed to be the objective ones, so you shouldn't be able to read us.
I was saying, could have. I would have taken an actual break. And just reorganized everything I had mapped out, like whatever many hours of trial prep, because it all went out the window real quick.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, wait a minute, if I actually take a step back, I'm like, well, we don't need to call this witness, this, because I prepped for different
Yeah.
witnesses that we got. So on the same end, I feel like if you really want to be pedantic in every single little inconsistency, could have been.
Have I told you the story about my very first jury trial as a judge? So at the time, one of my bestest buddies, and he still is, worked right up the road on Grant Road. So he was up here hanging out for the trial just to see it, And It was the guy, the prosecutor for Huron Township. It was a drunk driving. It was with Murray Duncan. Okay. Two things happened that day. One, I almost held the defense attorney in contempt because he, on the record, accused me and Murray Duncan of collusion.
Oh,
And I could see where he was going with it. And what happened is, I'd known Murray for years, right? And what happened is Murray came in, asked the guys to let him in chambers just to, congratulate me on the fact that, I'm the new judge and it's the new trial, my first jury trial. And when he walked out of into the courtroom, he came out of the chambers door. And the prosecutor saw that. So, and there was a contentious argument. Matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff that happened in that trial. So that was why anybody that does a drunk driving in my courtroom, you don't do it on an appearance ticket. You got to have a complaint or I'll dismiss the thing. Okay. The reason was on the appearance ticket, it had the PBT number in the comments section, but they didn't charge him with a BAC. They just charged him with OUIL. So now we're having this discussion whether or not they could proceed under the U-ball, right? Because it wasn't charged as a U-ball. And I ruled in favor of the defense. You could have done a formal complaint. You didn't. Your ticket doesn't clearly say it's U-ball, right? So he's pissed. The prosecutor's pissed at me. And he started talking. I could see where he was going. And I said, counsel, you don't want to go where you're about to go. And he did anyhow. So, but I'll give him credit. I'll give him all the credit in the world because the first time we took a break, he came up and, Judge, I apologize. I don't for a minute think that you and Mr. Duncan cooked this up. I was just blindsided by his argument and I was pissed and I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay. But where I started this story was we take a break and he's walking out and nobody's in the courtroom now except my buddy sitting right on the aisle. The guy that's just there to watch, right? And he looks around, the prosecutor looks around, looks at my buddy, and says, you a witness? He's like, no, I'm just here to watch. Prosecutor says, oh, what do you think? Pat, very blunt, says, you want to know? He's like, sure, tell me. He says, you talk too damn much. What do you mean by that? He says, because I'm watching that jury. When you stand up, they're rolling their eyes because you ask the same questions over and over. His response, and this has always blown me away, his response was, yeah, I know, I've been told that before, but I don't want to leave any stone unturned. So what he said was, I know they don't like my style, but I don't care. What?
well, let me tell you for the circuit or jury trial. It was, this was why it was marked here when I was taking that.
Oh, those are two, the CSC ones you could
Yeah,
say?
CSC.
I heard you were down there.
It's supposed to be 2 days. I had 3 witnesses. It was 5 days.
Holy cow.
When I think that was up there, I directed her for hour and a half. CSC.
3 witnesses?
She was like a medical expert or something? like
Yeah, but that's no, they didn't catch the evidence. Defense crossed my victim for 7 hours
Oh my God.
for a CSC one. Do you imagine how? And at the end of it, she's like, I don't want to come back. I'm like, no shit.
No, who would? Yeah. Yeah. What was the result? Better question. What was the result?
DD CSC.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's CSC to me, they're both of us.
The stranger CSC is easy. Child CSC is easy. They can't consent. Here's
Mhm.
DD ones.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird crime that I believe they captured both into the spectrum. I think they're, especially CSCs, I believe there are more people who are wrongfully convicted on those than almost any other offense.
Mhm.
I also believe there's more people who perpetrate that and
That
get away with it.
don't get convicted. Yeah.
It's- you know, that they-
Because it's the dynamic involved. Right.
You know, she's been doing it for sure. She's been doing it for 35 years. She only got 1 marital CSC in her 35 years.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me though. Doesn't surprise me.
Like, it's reported, it's done, like it was clear. So,
Yep.
she could have had consent,
Yeah.
you know, get it.
Yeah. No, it's tough.
It's-
If they can just double check it, so they you guys can just double check it.
Don't forget you just check that looks. I just got a bunch of you. So, that's just a verbal sure. Well, I think it's awful. So. I can't tell you about it. Yeah. All we have to do is get out and that thing.
No, it was next.
Really?
Yeah.
So can you guys look at the end of the end of the evidence instructions and the end of the witness instruction?
And the evidence.
Yeah.
10 minutes. That looks good.
Intent at the very bottom.
Like everybody else.
Yeah, and then use of non-deadly force. You guys wanted that, right? And burden of proof self-defense.
Yep, perfect. Those are gonna see what that is.
Instructions.
Those are under the,
Where's the injury one?
the intent one, or
I think there's a definition of force touching. that-
one is under evidence, one is under witness. What did you keep talking about?
The known injury. Injury of the.
I think it's under elements.
Yeah, the use of non-deadly force in self-defense, that's happening.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's just,
Says
those
that,
are the group injury.
gosh,
Is it on a regular one?
It's not.
So which? So,
it's not, it's a pretty common one, so.
if it's a common one, is it not in there?
No, it's not.
No, but it often is, you said they don't have to establish that an actual.
It's right here, Heather. It's this one.
Yeah, we had it out there on paper.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, we got.
It's right there.
Did you not add it?
Oh, good.
I didn't even see it.
Where do you think it's at?
No. Did I do burden of self-defense?
Yes.
This I was going to, but I didn't know where to add it, so it's gonna be on the last page.
Witness instructions.
If that's the last page, yes. I'm gonna add it to that right now.
Yeah, let me send it.
I'm watching it. Read on the other day on me. Aggravated assault with no back.
You don't even know, I remember the part. Caught. Dude, he went after him, like, there was no evidence that he like he chased the dude across the parking lot, like trying to hit him.
It means there has to be medical, there has to have that medical.
Right? At least Cusick's went that way, I feel like he usually briefs a lot of his stuff down at Third.
Way.
It was actually not required for aggravated as well.
Right.
I was like,
When do I make it?
one was charged that way. The, like who that was.
This is gonna be a report, so I can see.
No, they were, it was really new. I don't think it states very much, I thought it kind of fish out of water.
Yeah, it's. I'm so, that's started. It's its own world.
Yeah, stuff's about, I think you pull time over. Gotta look to like retained stuff. 36 is a real pain in the ass because it's just really hard to like, you're in the farm. Otherwise, I'd be like, I'd be building for a day to go down here. I just keep telling that I'm still get out of there.
Because they don't want to do now, but we can break and pay for our own stuff. I was in first. I think.
Oh, that reminds me, next time you do this, for screw chops, just burn them off. So you can just handle screw chop.
You're sitting in the stack right next to the case law.
Oh,
No, I think, I stayed, I had the butterflies last night where I just could not fall asleep.
I didn't know it should be. I didn't know it should be.
That's whenever we're not, only when we're not on Zoom, when I'm live streaming. Yeah, that's all Polycom.
Are you updated yet?
Almost.
I've been here for a year and I've never seen it.
They got somebody on tech. 1 or 2 days, I've been over there, like, monitoring with their.
We can't get the microphones loud enough so they're clear on the live stream.
It is the same over there, it smokes really loud, so they thought they could hear.
It's
So
good for the
picking up
bench.
on.
But just put everywhere else it's kind of silent. And they can't, the only thing they can come up with is to plug something in over there and give you a cable, take it across the carpet over with the telephone.
You know what? Okay, does this shirt look familiar? Number 5? Speedo shark, little shiny shark.
Yeah, it's on that. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Big wall.
All right, it's done, Judge.
So
I put it on, I think the last page.
what is it? I'm sorry.
Actual injury is not necessary. Make sure I have it spelled and everything.
Yep, okay.
Understood.
You know, would have been the last civil matter that brought us together on one case. Oh. Which she decided that she would have pulled her name.
Is this, when you're ready, sir, or when they're ready? We're almost when you're ready. Okay. Thank you.
How do you look at it? How many people are here like? Yeah.
This one once in a while.
Yeah, later.
That's well, that's for.
I did it all this morning. It just asked me to do that. Yeah, no, I never updated them. It just asked.
Time travel, I probably got it at myself and gone back to the beginning. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just don't know.
So you did those 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
Do my plans litigation.
Yeah, we're gonna
Get pretty damn far down the.
Do you want me to tell Jamie okay?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
We're like.
Yeah.
Oh, fellas, it's 6 years or 7.
So.
Six. Like it's.
No, I'm asking, I don't care. If you guys agree, I'll send them all back. It's to his benefit, it's one more person that
Yeah.
doesn't agree. Then we'll do 6.
Split the difference, you got a short juror.
Yeah. I just hate to kick them all off or kick one of them off after they've all paid attention, but
The. Keeping whoever's the alternate dark.
That would be the worst. I mean, not that worst, because I bet.
thanks, Joe. All right, have a seat. Gentlemen, closings.
Atkins. Oh. When we started, I gave you that checklist, what we're looking for, what we're looking for. So, remember, you just that again. You heard testimony that on May 18th, 2025. And the city of Huron, or Huron, that this defendant, Defendant, appeared at 22046 Cecil Drive in Wayne County, and she made contact with Caleb. Now, with her testimony about her coming in, she admitted herself coming in. She wanted a confrontation. She wanted to get what was open. She wanted to. She was upset about the situation. And, you know, I for herself, you know, I regretted that. There's probably a lot of things that she regretted. Now, we heard testimony, she went there. She had a look at the address. Maybe she found out her tattoo was covered. Her name gone. That's her partner. And he's saying, not me. She was upset. She went over there. We've heard that she barged her way in. We've heard a slap sound. 2 witnesses described the same sound. We're here to figure out whether violence happened or whether it's domestic. But 2 things, one is that violence. Weird testimony. I regretted going over there. I regretted, I was angry, I was upset. She didn't say she was. I was upset. I went over there, I wanted a confrontation, I wanted to contact Amanda. I went. She was upset. And she paused class. Now, secondly, you have to prove that you say, oh, you heard testimony that they were in a relationship. Check. Now, you heard, I know there was only one eyewitness having Caleb the victim, but there was also an auditory witness. Now, normally it's nice to compare what 2 people see, but I think it's also equally as nice we have 5 senses. Let's use all 5. So she was consistent about those conversations that were being had. She was consistent about the noises that were heard. And she was consistent about, you know, yes, I called her. Yes, Caleb called her. Consistency. There's consistency to, you know, about one second. There was consistency to, you know, about the time that this happened, the order of events, hearing the door open, hearing that of that counter. There was consistency in the slap. Now there wasn't consistency as to the amount. But as you remember, Caleb didn't really provide too much details of the second one, but we do have a lot of details on that. Understand? Slap that spot where the tattoo was. Then they had to go back and get that. Now, we heard about the banging at the door. We heard about her coming closer to the door. And we have 2 testimonies, and her testimony, actually 3 witnesses testified that after she came in, one, that confrontation, she was brought out. And we heard the door close, we heard the glass break, we saw the burning. We had auditory cues about how this went down. Now, before we talked, in the beginning, we talked about credibility, right? That this is a he said, she said, right? And we talked about how we determine credibility. We're looking for, you know, not only just their stories, but some of those visual cues, some of those, you know, perceptive cues that we have to determine some of this stuff is true. I need to really go back and listen to the judge's instructions about witness credibility, as well as compare that to what we saw. I don't think any of our witnesses, frankly, were really combative. I don't think that anyone was combative. I don't think that anyone was showing signs of obstruction. That's for you. However, when we think about the defendant estate, they're also very talented. She was upset. She went there angry and ignored them. She at first waited for the police, but then when the police arrived, didn't, drove away, didn't flag down an officer, kept going, and then once the officer stopped her, jig was up, and she had her shit. Now, we went for our checklist, and now I'm asking you that you see that we have met her, we proved beyond a reasonable doubt that these two people were in a domestic relationship, and that violence occurred at this date, this time, and this location. But this time, I'm gonna ask that you find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sticking with us, and you guys probably you breaks today, we gotta go in, so I'm gonna try to keep this quick, but I also. I can't pass an opportunity to like advocate for my client after what we've heard. I've got to connect to the games. I know you guys can do it, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't let you. So I agree, we talked a lot today before you guys started about credibility of cases. I understand that there was emotion involved by all parties in this case. But what we heard today, for outside of police witness, everyone who had a little skin in it, my client, her ex-fiance, his fiance. And you guys are also witness today to something you don't see very often, which we actually had a witness who had testified previously under oath and actually admitted today that whatever he said previously under oath wasn't true. Don't get that moment quite often, but it did happen today. Does that mean that everything the guy said is just a full blown lie? No, I'm not saying. But when we were talking earlier about what are we really talking when it's just two people's words against each other? What do we go to? How do we make the quote tiebreaker when we're not benefited with that evidence? What we all of us would love to see is show me proof. We all feel better if we have that. Never gonna get that in these cases. Really in most of these cases where there's not gonna be that security cam at the 7-Eleven that shows the 6'1" suspect leaving at 11:59. There's gonna be parts of this that fall on you guys. And that's all I'm gonna do right now is just kind of point out a few of these kind of moments that we all heard today together. I apologize if I reacted with looks on my face sometimes. I've been warned by judges not that often. There were a couple moments today where I just was a little beside us. We had an alleged victim. I was gonna call it what it was. You guys can see him. He's a really big dude. He's really something sense. If I'm my client, if you really parse together the parts of his statement that did stay consistent, it was that he had posted himself up in a partially open door. Once it's all to believe that she somehow or another barreled through said or did not get the guy that you saw her on the counter behind. You heard the officer testify the place didn't look like it was in disarray or things have been flipped over. You get shoved backwards by her, and there's really nothing to look at. So remember we talked about absence of evidence before as well. Seems a little weird. Doesn't mean that it couldn't happen, but that starts to go into the weird category. Doesn't look like anything strange happening here. Caleb that night, this happened back in the 18th. He was questioned multiple times. Every time he was questioned, we even got to fight on today. I think we got the right answer. We made this consistent. So, never before today did anyone heard this mystery second slap. That was another one of those moments when, what? So somehow or another, between the dates that this happened in 2025 and now, not the story ain't consistent, it's grown. A new allegation of another assault. Okay, let's just keep moving from that. That seems strange, right? Seems like right after what had been happening would have been the time we would have told the officer they got smacked multiple times. And let's just talk real quick about that. We've got an ear witness. And I thought that some of her testimony was fairly credible today. In fact, when she finally was pushed with the facts that you really didn't see or know anything,
fact, it's even possible that Caleb could have slapped my client. She stopped fighting. You know what I mean? We did see that at a certain point. She did admit that, oh, okay, you know what? I was really relying upon this. I'm like, not back to my main state. I went with what he said, and I did tell the officer that I saw or I maybe had more information, but she backed off. Today just kind of kept wiggling. I still feel like we just would have been further confused. I could have probably continued to re-ask the questions and get different answers, but what that tells me from years of doing this and just having kind of that spidey sense of does it sniff past the sniff test, that none of that felt right. It certainly seems like this individual believes there's a right answer, there's a right set of words, a right set of things that he can string together that are somehow going to change his overall life situation as it relates to his client, their child, and common. Today was a little bit confusing because you're hearing about a family court case, you don't really know what happened because with rules of law working rules of evidence, you can't fully get into that, nor is it appropriate. But what you do know is this is a really big picture that's been going on for a really long time. You never heard at any point say it's Caleb, in the 4 years they were together, never make any accusations that she's previously been violent. Even if she's an aggressive person, even if she's an angry person, other than she's hurt this time. So that kind of makes you, again, go back into what's really going on. Well, what we do know from Caleb's testimony, we finally conceded some facts there, is that even though there's been this alleged assault that happened at his new fiance's house, he seemed to be really fixated on how to get a PPO and how to get family court paperwork filed. Really, I think I don't have to lean too heavy on this. I firmly believe that all of you guys, I just had to pull those dots close enough for you guys to say, yeah, that connects. And it does. When I talk about motive to lie, it's a big jump. Telling somebody, accusing somebody, saying, I don't think you're telling the truth. So you gotta be really careful about throwing those types of accusations around. In this instance, I don't have any reservations whatsoever. If I had them, they're gone after today. Again, when somebody can look me in the face and just continue to not really commit to what happened. And we're not talking about a 9-part pile of 13 different witnesses. This is really simple. Your emotion kind of clouding your objective judgment really should be the only thing that would cause a difference in your story, right? But no, the story's grown. The story's changed. 1 slap, 2 slaps, plates breaking. Originally, when the officers came out moments after this all happened, they got to the story. My suspicion would be Caleb broken, turned light, throwing Mayor out the door. She can't even tell you that's exactly what happened. We know from this inconsistent testimony, this odd timeline, that that's really what it started to sound like today. That was back to Caleb himself admitting that the preliminary examination, he was asked if she'd break the lights. No. Today it changed. So the police, she went out, unscrewed it, and whipped it at the house. Prelim didn't happen. Today it's a new version. 3 separate stories about someone that's consequential really isn't what we're talking about. They have to prove she touched Caleb and that they were in a relationship previous. Nobody's talking that. In fact, you've heard from everybody in a relationship. It's like about the touching. You heard Megan that she put her hands on Caleb. You're going to get a jury instruction here in a moment about self-defense. Somebody's grabbing you. You don't have to go going and drag along. You absolutely have the right to assert a reasonable proportionate get off of that. As long as you don't escalate their reciprocal force. You have to be stronger than the person getting first. You win that one, that's on that. She didn't do anything like that. She just simply was trying to get herself free from them. And if you see the video, I apologize, it takes so long to get the thing up. I know you guys know what skin and knee looks like, but there's a lot of testimony made about police did things that other people. Why did they do that? She saw with her own plain eyes, and she showed the officer she was bleeding. She said, blood runs down the knee. Clearly, it just. We saw pictures of broken glass all over the patio area where the complainant himself admits that the fire hurt her. You connect her statement that she got her up off her feet, slammed on her. Bleeding. She stayed. She's being told police are coming. One part of her brain, I think it's nice and put herself in her shoes. I'm not saying that. It's just I think we all can relate to a haywire kind of situation where the person whose porch you're standing on saying, you must leave, get out of here. On the other hand, they're saying, I saw the police, and you're saying, well, I would have to be heard by them say police. To somehow make a responsibility or onus back onto her for not seeing a random police officer at the front of the park and not going up and flagging him down, I don't think anyone's here is going to be distracted. I think we all know what happened. Saw the video, saw her cooperate, and most importantly, you heard her today testify. Incredible. There were crocodile tears up here today. There wasn't a big production. In fact, I truly have admiration for my client. It's come off today. I think that she's a very strong person. And if all of you that had watched all of the videos, all of this strung together, to see her handle the aftermath of this and talking to the police about it and keeping her story straight, it's not hard to do. And that's why, even in an emotional state, her story didn't. And that's why today, even under cross-examination from the prosecutor, did a good job of covering with some questions. Story did she? Here we go. In the end of the day, he's gonna talk after I'm done. Broke my head around. I'm gonna say anything else after this. It's your job. Putting this in your hands at this point in time. The prosecution must prove to you beyond reasonable doubt. No, it's gotta be beyond that. Well, the judge is gonna tell you what the law is, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think some slight lawyer made this. I'm a big fan. This is a demonstrative I'm about to show you. What that means is this is not evidence. Okay, I'm just showing you. Maybe. Hey, word. A little chart that those regular. This isn't the law. It's just something that kind of helps me understand. People are talking, we're trying to use the legal language. I know that's really small.
If you want a poly comment, we can poly comment. Josh, we can poly comment so it goes there.
I think everyone must see that. They're not even big dirty. Again, this isn't the law. This is just kind of like a little clever, like, hey, let's look at this. So as you find yourself kind of coming through these scenarios, you guys are going to talk about this when you go back there. What about this? Well, what about this? Why don't we get that? It was slapped, but there's no picture of and no evidence saying it. So these missing things. So as you're going through all that, you may come up with a whole bunch of different scenarios, like hypotheticals of what may have actually gone down. None of us will actually know, only people who were there were there. But I think all of us can put together the facts together, what we think logically or reasonably happen. Perhaps suspected, guilt likely, a whole bunch of stops and training until you get up to that top level, which, as we said before, there's a reason that working is so hot. Yes, I absolutely can. I think I'm just making an echo. All right. So my little clever demonstrative. Prosecution's gonna get there and point at it and spin it like a good lawyer does and show you why it works in this case. There's not a lot of room on that. You guys were asked at the beginning of this today, and it's when we got to the end. If you'd be able to make a decision based on just testimony alone, if you want to see something more, all of us want to see something more. And thankfully today, you guys did get testimony. You got inconsistent testimony, you got inconsistent testimony. We got some pictures that show what actually happened. She saw some evidence of what was actually there. Claimant has a tremendous amount of motive. There's a lot in his mind to gain right now. To inflicting pain on the investigation for our here. Try to make it make sense. Just remember. I thank you all sincerely for your time, patience, and keeping an open mind as we go through this process. I do firmly believe today, prosecution not their fault, but the facts are the facts. They just don't have.
Mr. Licky.
So the reason why it's hard to stay up because the privacy of the young, we see him all the time. Here's my problem. There's one bar that's always high, right? We're gonna see reasonable doubt. Now, above that is unreasonable doubt of all doubt. That is what my problem is. I have it every single time I have one of these charges. I don't have to prove this child is. I don't have to prove that he has some ulterior motive in being given. I don't have to prove that Miss Atkins' hearing isn't that she's a hypersonic hearing and she can hear everything. All I have to prove is that this defendant got into that house and assaulted, meaning threatened, or you can take it down, sir.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, we're good.
So all I have to prove is that this individual assaulted, either got into that house, threatened use of force on Caleb, or she battered him, actually made contact, assaulted him without, and touched him without his consent. Now, counsel brought up those self-defense jury instructions, and you'll have those as well. I want to read the last paragraph. So, Judge will read all these, just take the last paragraph. They're all important for the last paragraph, I think applies to this case. 4. The person claiming self-defense must have not acted wrongfully and brought on the assault. However, if defendant used only words, that does not prevent her from claiming self-defense if she was attacked. Now, this individual went to this house, didn't stay in the threshold of the doorway, forced herself in, pushed herself in as the testimony reflects, and then assaulted our baby. This is what testimony would be. Now, even if we were to take a slice of it, no, she didn't bar her way in, she didn't push her way in. But she took advantage of that space. She took advantage and then moved closer to where her rival for her ex-boyfriend was at. Those are facts that all of these parties agree to. Now, granted she didn't raise, so granted, it could have been worse. She could have pushed him over the counter could have been less, could have broken off. We could have had all those things, don't. But judge is also going to instruct you that injury is honest. I don't have to prove that he's injured. I don't have to prove that his tattoo burst or that that film that wraps it burst and it was injured or that was red. I don't have to prove injury. Which prove that is. Now, I also want to talk about what Counsel said. This isn't about right? And I think it's very responsible and appropriate that the defense counsel has admitted that. That's not my review. Because we're here for one date, one time, one effect. Now, that thing to court case, yeah, it might play a role in some of their motivation. Don't see that. But if you're Caleb, what's going through? You're surprised that this individual, who's the mother of your children, arrives to this house, acts in the way that she acts. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to be comfortable that your daughter's in the presence of that. And we're supposed to be surprised that that is going through his head when he's not still believed. Now, I can't vouch for him. I can't vouch for his credibility. That is your job. Keep that in mind. Yeah, his first thought was on his kid. His mother, the kid who has custody of the kid, just acted in a way he was not prepared for, suspected, and put him in A little bit of fear. I mean, heard that. I mean, he's a big guy for him to be afraid. He's well afraid. He said that to me. And she was afraid. Miss Atkins. All I have to prove is that an assault and or assault practice. That he was afraid an injury was going to come to him, or an injury didn't befall him. So this isn't a family violence, domestic violence. Now, when we look at some of his testimony, I understand some of it can be inconsistent, some of it maybe has been heard, but that's for you. But he answered, he doesn't know how to look. He doesn't know and didn't have the opportunity to conduct a 3-hour interview with police that we put him through here. And neither did Miss Atkins. So not only do you have to consider how the witness testifying to you, what their statements were prior and what their statements are today. Judge will instruct you with that, but they'll also instruct you to their conditions, like we talked about. Maybe he's nervous, maybe he's this, that, and the other. But I would also urge you to consider those prior statements as well. What was their state of mind? What was their mental states? What are we doing when those statements are? How much time do we? Because time plays a role. You know, we talked about here, some of us have pretty atypical careers, or as teachers who get to work in different fields and have different kinds of students that we work, where everyone's response to interactions to stressors differently. And what we through in our career. So I just want to ask you to keep following that. And I think at the end of the day, you will see that I proven and solve and or install that in place. That this defendant is the one who did it at that date, that time, that location.
All right. I think that means we're ready for me to read to you again. So you can follow along if you go to that little sub menu again. Click on Final Instructions. And I'll watch and see when you're all there. And once again, you'll have your tablets to take back into the deliberation room with you. So it's under Judge Oakley's instructions. Then when that comes up, sub menu up kind of top left.
She lost the press, she's on the home page.
Oh, okay.
It's just so far.
Have you got it? Heather's come. Everybody else all right? There's always one, Miss Burris, always one. We're good? Okay. All right. Now I got to find mine again. Okay, here we go. Members of the jury, the evidence and the arguments in this case are finished, and I will now instruct you on the law. That is, I will explain the law that applies to this case. Remember that you've taken an oath to return a true and just verdict based only on the evidence and my instructions on the law. You must not let sympathy, bias, or prejudice influence your decision. You must avoid reaching conclusions that may have been unintentionally influenced by stereotypes. You must reach your own conclusions about this case individually, but you should do so only after listening to and considering the opinions of the other jurors who may have different backgrounds and perspectives from yours. As jurors, you must decide what the facts of this case are. This is your job and nobody else's. You must think about all the evidence and then decide what each piece of evidence means and how important you think it is. This includes whether you believe what each of the witnesses said. What you decide about any fact in this case is fine. It is my duty to instruct you on the law. You must take the law as I give it to you. If a lawyer says something different about the law, follow what I say. At various times, I have already given you some instructions about the law. You must take all my instructions together as the law you are to follow. You should not pay attention to some instructions and ignore others. To sum it up, it is your job to decide what the facts of this case are, to apply the law as I give it to you, and in that way to decide this case. A person accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. This means that you must start with the presumption that the defendant is innocent. The presumption continues throughout the trial and entitles the defendant to a verdict of not guilty unless you're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that she is guilty. Every crime is made up of parts called elements. The prosecutor must prove each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant is not required to prove her innocence or to do anything. If you find that the prosecutor has not proven every element beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant not guilty. A reasonable doubt is a fair, honest doubt growing out of the evidence or lack of evidence. It is not merely an imaginary or possible doubt, but a doubt based on reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt is just that, a doubt that is reasonable after a careful and considered examination of the facts and circumstances of the case. When you discuss the case and decide on your verdict, you may only consider the evidence that has been properly admitted into the case. Therefore, it's important for you to understand what is evidence and what is not evidence. Evidence includes only the sworn testimony of witnesses, the exhibits admitted into evidence, and anything else I told you to consider as evidence. Many things are not evidence, and you must be careful not to consider them as such. I will now describe some of the things that are not evidence. The fact that the defendant is charged with a crime and is on trial is not evidence. The lawyer's statements and arguments are not evidence. They are only meant to help you understand the evidence and each side's legal theories. You should only accept things the lawyers say that are supported by the evidence or by your own common sense and general knowledge. The lawyer's questions to the witnesses and my questions to the witnesses are also not evidence. You should consider these questions only as they give meaning to the witnesses' answers. My comments, rulings, questions, and instructions are also not evidence. It is my duty to see that the trial is conducted according to the law and to tell you the law that applies to the case. However, when I make a comment or give an instruction, I'm not trying to influence your vote or express a personal opinion about the case. If you believe that I have an opinion about how you should decide this case, you must pay no attention to that opinion. You are the only judges of the facts, and you should decide this case from the evidence. At times during the trial, I've excluded evidence that was offered or stricken testimony that was heard. Do not consider these things in deciding the case. Make your decision only on the evidence that I let in and nothing else. Your decision should be based on all the evidence regardless of which party produced it. You should use your own common sense and general knowledge in weighing and judging the evidence, but you should not use any personal knowledge you may have about a place, person, or event. To repeat once more, you must decide this case based only on the evidence admitted during the trial. As I said before, it is your job to decide what the facts of this case are. You must decide which witnesses you believe and how important you think their testimony is. You do not have to accept or reject everything a witness said. You are free to believe all, none, or part of any person's testimony. In deciding which testimony you believe, you should rely on your own common sense and everyday experience. However, in deciding whether you believe a witness's testimony, you must set aside any bias or prejudice you may have and not be influenced by a witness's disability, gender identity, race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, national origin, or socioeconomic status. Again, take the time you need to test what might be automatic or instinctive judgments and reflect carefully about the evidence. There is no fixed set of rules for judging whether you believe a witness, but it may help you to think about these questions. Was the witness able to see or hear clearly? How long was the witness watching or listening? Was anything else going on that might have distracted the witness? Did the witness seem to have a good memory? How did the witness look and act while testifying? Did the witness seem to be making an honest effort to tell the truth, or did the witness seem to evade the questions or argue with the lawyers? Does the witness's age and maturity affect how you judge his or her testimony? Does the witness have any bias, prejudice, or personal interest in how this case is decided? Have there been any promises, threats, suggestions, or other influences that affected how the witness testified? In general, does the witness have any special reason to tell the truth or any special reason to lie? All in all, how reasonable does the witness's testimony seem when you think about all the other evidence in the case? Sometimes the testimony of different witnesses will not agree, and you must decide which testimony you accept. You should think about whether the disagreement involves something important or not, and whether you think someone is lying or simply mistaken. People see and hear things differently, and witnesses may testify honestly but simply be wrong about what they thought they saw or remembered. It is also a good idea to think about which testimony agrees best with the other evidence in the case. However, you may conclude that a witness deliberately lied about something that is important to how you decide the case. If so, you may choose not to accept anything that witness said. On the other hand, if you think the witness lied about some things but told the truth about others, you may simply accept the part you think is true and ignore the rest. Elements of the crime. The defendant is charged with domestic assault and battery. To prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that the defendant assaulted or battered Caleb McFadden. A battery is a forceful, violent, or offensive touching of a person or something closely connected with him or her. The touching must have been intended by the defendant, that is, not accidental, and it must have been against Mr. McFadden's will. An assault is an attempt to commit a battery or an act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend an immediate battery. The defendant must have intended to either commit a battery or to make Caleb McFadden reasonably fear an immediate battery. An assault cannot happen by accident. At the time of the assault, the defendant must have had the ability to commit a battery, or must have appeared to have the ability, or must have thought she had the ability. Second, that at the time, Caleb McFadden was a person whom the defendant had or previously had a dating relationship. A dating relationship means frequent, intimate association, primarily characterized by the expectation of affectional involvement. It does not include a casual relationship or an ordinary fraternization between two individuals in a business or social context. The prosecutor must also prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the crime occurred on or about May 18, 2025 within Wayne County. Deliberations and verdict. When you go to the jury room, you will be provided with a written copy of the final jury instructions. And I'll read on, a copy of the electronically recorded instructions. You'll get your tablets. The foreperson should see to it that your discussions are carried on in a businesslike way and that everyone has a fair chance to be heard. During your deliberations, please turn off your cell phones or other communications equipment until we recess. A verdict in a criminal case must be unanimous. In order to return a verdict, it is necessary that each of you agrees on that verdict. In the jury room, you will discuss the case among yourselves, but ultimately each of you will have to make up your own mind. Any verdict must represent the individual considered judgment of each juror. It is your duty as jurors to talk to each other and make every reasonable effort to reach agreement. Express your opinions and the reasons for them, but keep an open mind as you listen to your fellow jurors. Rethink your opinions and do not hesitate to change your mind if you decide you were wrong. Try your best to work out your differences. However, although you should try to reach agreement, none of you should give up your honest opinion about the case just because other jurors disagree with you or just for the sake of reaching a verdict. In the end, your vote must be your own, and you must vote honestly and in good conscience. Possible penalties should not influence your decision. It is the duty of the judge to fix the penalty within the limits provided by law. If you want to communicate with me while you're in the jury room, please have your foreperson write a note and give it to the court officer. It's not proper for you to talk directly with the judge, lawyers, court officers, or other people involved in this case. As you discuss the case, you must not let anyone, even me, know how your voting stands. Therefore, until you return with a unanimous verdict, do not reveal this to anyone outside the jury room. When you go to the jury room to deliberate, you may take your notes and full instructions. If you want to look at any of the reference documents or exhibits that have been admitted, just ask for them. When you go to the jury room, you will give an electronic copy of the instructions you've just heard. As you discuss the case, you should think about all my instructions together as the law you are to follow. We've also prepared and agreed upon a verdict form that will be sent in with you to fill out after your deliberations. Now, if you go back to that submenu again, click on Evidence Instructions. I'll keep going. The prosecutor has introduced evidence of a statement that it claims the defendant made. Before you may consider such an out-of-court statement against the defendant, you must first find that the defendant actually made the statement as given to you. If you find that the defendant did make the statement, you may give the statement whatever weight you think it deserves. In deciding this, you should think about how and when the statement was made and about all the other evidence in the case. You may consider the statement in deciding the facts of the case. Facts can be proved by direct evidence from a witness or an exhibit. Direct evidence is evidence about what we actually see or hear. For example, you look outside and see rain falling. That's direct evidence that it is raining. Facts can also be proved by indirect or circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is evidence that normally or reasonably leads to other facts. So for example, if you see a person come in from outside wearing a raincoat covered with small drops of water, that would be circumstantial evidence that it's raining. You may consider circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence by itself or a combination of circumstantial evidence and direct evidence can be used to prove the elements of a crime. In other words, you should consider all the evidence that you believe. There's been some evidence the defendant tried to run away. Let's see. Ran away, hid after the alleged crime. This evidence does not prove guilt. A person may run or hide for innocent reasons, such as panic, mistake, or fear. However, a person may also run or hide because of a consciousness of guilt. You must decide whether the evidence is true, and if true, whether it shows that the defendant had a guilty state of mind. If you believe that a witness previously made a statement inconsistent with their testimony at this trial, the only purpose for which that earlier statement can be considered by you is deciding whether the witness testified truthfully in court. The earlier statement is not evidence that what the witness said earlier is true. When the lawyers agree on a statement of facts, these are called stipulated facts. You may regard such stipulated facts as true, but you are not required to do so. You may consider whether the defendant had a reason to commit the alleged crime, but a reason by itself is not enough to find a person guilty of a crime. The prosecutor does not have to prove that the defendant had a reason to commit the alleged crime. He only has to show that the defendant actually committed the crime and that she meant to do so. The defendant's intent may be proved by what was said, what he said, what she did, or how she did it, or by any other facts and circumstances in evidence. Once again, folks, going back to that sub-menu. Last section is witness instructions. You should not decide this case based on which side presented more witnesses. Instead, you should think about each witness and each piece of evidence and whether you believe them. Then you must decide whether the testimony and evidence you believe proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. You've heard that a lawyer talked to one of the witnesses. There's nothing wrong with this. A lawyer may talk to a witness to find out what the witness knows about the case and what the witness' testimony will be. You've heard testimony from witnesses who are police officers. That testimony is to be judged by the same standards as you use to evaluate the testimony of other witnesses. The defendant does not have to prove that she acted in self-defense. Instead, the prosecutor must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she did not act in self-defense. The defendant claims that she acted in lawful self-defense. A person has the right to use force to defend himself under certain circumstances. If a person acts in lawful self-defense, her actions are justified, and she's not guilty of domestic violence. You should consider all the evidence and use the following rules to decide whether Ms. Beckman acted in lawful self-defense. Remember to judge Ms. Beckman's conduct according to how the circumstances appeared to her at the time she acted. First, when Ms. Beckman acted, she must have honestly and reasonably believed that she had to use force to protect herself from the immediate unlawful use of force by another. If her belief was honest and reasonable, she could act at once to defend herself, even if it later turns out that she was wrong about how much danger she was in. Second, Ms. Beckman is only justified in using the degree of force that seems necessary at the time to protect herself from danger. Ms. Beckman must have used the kind of force that was appropriate to the attack made and the circumstances as she saw them. When you decide whether the force used was what seemed necessary, you should consider whether Ms. Beckman knew about any other ways of protecting herself. But you may also consider how the excitement of the moment affected the choice she made. Third, the right to defend oneself only lasts as long as it seems necessary for the purpose of protection. Fourth, the person claiming self-defense must not have acted wrongfully and brought on the assault. However, if the defendant only used words, that does not prevent her from claiming self-defense if she was attacked. An assault does not have to cause an actual injury. However, if there was an injury, you must consider the injury with the other evidence in determining whether there was an assault. Gentlemen, are you both satisfied with the instructions as given? Thank you. Now, folks, this is the part you guys can sit down. This is the part I hate more than anything else. Because I've watched, and all 7 of you paid attention, nobody snoozed, and you were all very attentive. One of you gets kicked out right now. So you're in chairs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got numbered beads in this little box, and I'm going to pull one of you out randomly, and I'm going to remove you from the jury. I'm going to also suggest that if you want to stick around, you can, because at the end of the trial, before I let everybody go home, I'm going to go back and do what I call my debrief. Answer any of your questions, make sure you understood how we did what we did, why we did what we did. And if whoever gets chosen and removed as the alternate wants to stick around for that conversation, I'll invite them back in at that time. Understood? All right, so randomly, juror number 5, Mr. Puckrill. Of course, it's the guy furthest in the back. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Jamie, why don't you take them all in, and that way they don't have to all get out of the way from Mr. Parker. He can just file another direction when you take them out the back. And you've got the jury, you got the deliberation forms? Okay. All right, and once again, if you want to leave any of your personal property here, it's fine.
Officer's party, that's right.
Feel free to stick around though.
Okay, yeah, if I want to stick around, just sit in the back.
Yeah, just pick a pew.
Okay.
Pick a
sounds
pew.
good.
All right, we're in recess.
I can't believe it.
I didn't think it. Hold on, I think it's talking about, I like stretch legs, body, shoulders, hair. I'm hybrid.
It's your latest track. Oh, she's Megan's that's her. My client's Ann. Yep. She's been with her for pre-trials and everything else. Hey. Well, he looks really good. It's not unusual over there for my 8:30 job. I don't mean that one.
Oh,
Judge.
I think it's, yeah, I know. I think it's, yeah, it's, yeah, but.
It's good probation.
I know.
And I had places that are this morning went to your.
Oh,
Yeah, you know,
feel you're taking around.
she can go to jail. Like, let's just call it. What it is, say, I'll put people in jail. Doing, it's a long play, cause you're like. But yeah, you know, that's why I had that. Yeah, like person professional. Yeah, you kind of have to take every finance. You know what I mean? It's like, can't walk right. They took us, they basically have. R&S office between like Rachel next door. She has one link on hers, it's like the go-between hours, and I thought that they schedule out there, maybe it's not. They did, but they've now got one. Doesn't sync up with all the Ramco offices.
How long?
Yes.
How far out is 35? Do they do 3 months? Like,
They did 4, so, cause they have 3 judges, they do them in like 4-month rotations.
For you guys to pick.
Oh, they just like, that's this year, that's why I've been stuck over.
But like we send them after and they don't shoot them.
Yeah.
You know,
Little sugar, little protein.
That's, he's a lot of skill, so I think it's surgery out the building. It's nice to sort of there.
Yeah. That's what we call it.
I got both it up.
That's what we call it, you know,
Yeah.
that, if it's a couple problems.
Yeah.
Royal, yeah, there's a few of that shit.
Yeah.
Then you got the one star. Yeah.
It's definitely be great.
Yeah, you should, well, I did feel like you get that pushing with that finally.
The problem is, right, but the problem is, we're not supposed to be bringing Zoom on Thursday.
That's what you said.
I mean, obviously, they're in Wayne County, but that's what my Mondays are here.
Sometimes though,
Yeah.
it's supposed to go faster because we don't bring all the officers, but it leaves you guys.
I mean, if you want
It's
to.
like trying to figure out where it fits into the.
Well, if he already had something on there, yeah. Yeah,
Everybody.
which
Yeah.
guy is it?
Take a look at that.
Jonathan Wilson? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few faces. I totally got it because.
I don't need to do it, but I have to call them.
Yeah, I know I was gonna say, I was like.
It's sometimes, I got about 20% hearing out of, I believe that's tinnitus in my 2 ears, so like a couple times I think overheard it. You know, try to make sure I didn't miss.
Right,
I've worked with on hold and I've been through 2 waters, so like,
yeah,
you know.
and.
Well, thank you.
So.
Both.
Alright,
Thank you,
that's
sir.
fine.
I don't imagine there's probably around things that go boom, hum.
A lot of us, well, I had my E5 and I was gonna go fly Apaches. Started on to go down to school, but I was in the military intelligence, you know, that was like Palmer surroundings, Constance. Ended up on a hospital ship twice, was got hit by an RPG once, did an anti-tank mine once. Oh, shit, down, so.
Is that what Chuka, South of Tucson, that they do for the Army intelligence? I think they got a couple bases, but I had a few buddies,
So I
so.
was actually at Fort Belvoir, I was outside of DC.
Okay.
And my AHE was year one, but I figured out why everything cost so much, because I went into, me and my, XO went into DC for lunch. And, you know, they left my table, so these 2 guys were like, we come sit with us, and I'm like, well, I said, you can tell by the stylish uniforms and trend together, that's what we do, what do you do? They're like, oh, we're lobbyists. I'm like, really? I'm like, what does that entail? They're like, "Man, it's kind of like legalized storage, isn't that illegal? Yeah, they're like, no, I just say to you, Senator, so and so, you need to go buy yourself a little rental property, you know, on the outskirts of DC. You know, I'm on an appropriations committee and I'm gonna go for something that you want. So they come back a week later and they say, hey, you know what, we drove by that, city bar, love what you did with the whole picket fence thing, we're gonna give you $750,000 for that house. It's not illegal, it's just a land deal. So you just made, you know, $450,000 by one. Yeah, okay.
It's I can only imagine there's like a lot of areas that are not transparent. Only the people who are in the know, really know. I mean, you can talk about it, but like
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
boy, this is,
Well, I worked with a MI system called Trailblazer and Jackhammer. And it would basically be like, say like you were talking to her on her cell phone. And you said, hey, you can't, I could isolate you, right? Tell her, figure out where you are within 10 feet. I could block her. Or I could block.
Do I give these to you?
I say to her,
Grievance.
hey, you should be in, you know, West
So
Lake.
put it,
And I would realize it was send it to her and she would swear she was talking to you.
how old? But where's that straight Jim? She sends it, but it's all about his case.
I was gonna say, why, actually, you ever had
I
a
don't
case?
think I've ever dealt with her.
I was just gonna go there.
But all of this is about him.
They would type in responses.
Into it.
And we would send it
But
all
she didn't?
visual. and,
Better question is, why would the Tampa want to do this?
You know,
When you said, I don't know when that sounded, my brain just jumped to right now, I'm like.
They
it's
received
not
April
that
of
much.
25.
Top leaders at one spot for,
well, think of this, you know, because the money spent on the military.
Because here's the date.
Years ahead, right?
February 24 to February 25.
yeah, that was a.
But you're saving those?
Different ones, everybody.
No, I also sent you an email because I didn't,
Well, we had,
you didn't have Harley's email,
Uh-huh.
but it's, you know, Bubby's uptown. Cross
we
your
had,
head,
GPS back
barber shop.
And
Bobby's Pizza.
that's-
They expanded their menu, so
Yeah.
I'd like you to
Yeah.
just print it out and give it to Carly, because if she's thinking.
Would that have been like late?
When-
Maybe like the first night, still,
It wasn't great,
Yeah,
yeah, still
and you had like the townhouse.
yeah, it was like a kind of garment or something, it wasn't Toledo, well, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, getting lost and be. Yeah, well, we didn't have very many satellites back then, so the GPS would give you within maybe, a football field where you wanted to go. But it's still,
Light years, yeah,
That's
so we're
what
gonna
we're
see
gonna
how
see,
that's, still that was. State of the art, I'm sure at that point too, it really kind of is, for my non-technical, obviously, you know, I can't reach computers. But, thank you for not freaking out when that started happening, the judge has seen that with me enough times, like, just look back on it. My life before doing this, environment energy, so my interface with computers. Look more like that, we're gonna like make these invoices, or
it
like.
was so funny because every time I started coming up with a question, you guys would answer. You know,
Today, the hardest part was a lot of time in preparation when it's very organized. Here's what we need to get out of each thing, and then when we all got here this morning, part of the delays were we're trying to say, let's get rid of some witnesses, let's try to consolidate this. But in effect, it made a very disorganized trial, I think. Like, sort of.
sometimes you can give too much information, but then you don't retain people's attention, you know, they don't stay on. You
Yep,
know.
it starts, if it's not sinking in, yeah, and some.
And I'm glad you did, because I worked until like 3 o'clock this morning, and then I went home and slept for a couple hours and you came in here, so I'm like, I haven't eaten since like 10:30 yesterday, other than the little granola bar they gave us.
Yes. 5 o'clock yesterday. I just realized on the point.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times you, to me, maybe if you hit 2,000 trials or something, it's different, but like, or people here. You know what I mean? If there's one of those people, it's like, yeah, it's a job, I should have punched the guard. Like, the night before, doesn't matter if it's a, you know, a case like this, or if it's a felony, a serious case, I just can't usually shut off the hamster.
Yeah.
It's just hard to kind of do. So if you get sleep, it's still kind of that, it's just, adrenaline and caffeine. You did good, it's hard, honestly, very few people testify on their own behalf.
You did really good.
It's not an easy spot to be in, because you didn't fight with them, prosecutor, I mean, like, yeah, you this. Yeah, it wasn't a great idea, but those things are really all agree on. What I love, and I wish that, you know, we had all day, we played more with the video. When the officer, sergeant, when she came up to you, and she said, did you think it was a good idea to go over here? You looked up, and you're like, well, this is illegal. And the officer saying that,
Yeah, like.
it should, well, no, like, no, you're allowed to look somebody that, there's nothing wrong with it, I guess that's nothing, it's not illegal.
It's not,
You did it in a non-snarky way, but she was asking me, she was like genuinely like, it's not illegal to do that, right? Like, you were.
I mean, something that's public information, is no expectation of privacy, you know.
If you put yourself in the public sphere for further. Well, if we can find you at Cedar Point, those things, dude. So. What, I didn't see when you came out, I just knew that you were here at a certain point. Did you get here before opening statements, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't miss
yeah, I didn't miss it.
Cause you're here, what, about 9:30 bucks?
It was probably. Yeah, cause I got here
Yeah,
at
some
10:15.
people-
It was like 10:15.
Cause that's one of the things that, ever since I went through what I went through, I used to sit with my back to stuff, and I watched people coming in and out.
You probably never, as a soldier, never turn that off, right? That's kind of like.
Yeah, I still don't sleep good, you know, so, because we used to have like, they call it Overwatch, but they basically, we would bed down. We were talking about bugs, ticks and stuff, trigger and stuff, and I'm like, scorpions are even worse, because we would go out, I was on a 10-man team, we'd go out, we would do what we needed to do, then if we were too far out, helicopters could pick us up and dig into the ground. Had one guy laying out in ghillie suit with a sniper rifle, make sure no Nissan pickups or anything runs over us. So you lay on your side, you have a weapon wrapped up so you can get sand and you got your face out so you can breathe and then you feel scorpions just. I did the same with my face. You know, you gotta lay still, otherwise you're gonna sting.
And those where you were at, at least like, I was in Toronto for a long time. But no, you don't get stung by one of those, but you
Yeah.
it's like, man, whatever, hurts.
Yeah,
Those.
yeah, the little ones are the worst because they don't know any better and they'll keep stinging you.
Whole
Yeah.
venom dumping deals.
Yeah. They used to make a bed and you put scorpions in there and have a little bath. So I found this desert beetle and then, like I set it on the edge and it goes down into the bed, it goes on through right up the other side and all the scorpions are staying. I win. Yeah, we'd go out at night, it's usually the hardest we would hit is at nighttime. And then come back, debrief and everything. And I used to get back to my tent around 12 o'clock and I had to watch until the temperature and I'm like, holy shit, it's 138 degrees in here. And it dropped down to about 35 at night. We had a couple nights where we had hail. It's nothing you can do, you can't go anywhere. Middle of the desert, you know.
Yeah, I can enjoy listening to. Thank you for sharing, because I mean, to me, that's just one still the most like honorable, fascinating things. I know a lot of you guys do, don't always. You don't need to be flattered and always told like thank you, but like it's true, man. Like for us who couldn't do it or can't do that, like I got a lot of admiration, not just like a thank you,
I
respect.
remember the funny moments, and I forget about that when we started trying to. One of the funniest things, I had this drill sergeant, he was always like, oh, Chicho, hi. And, he had some funny times. We had a guy try to commit suicide. He tied a buffer cord around his neck, threw the buffer cord out the second story window, hit the ground, still had the cord tied around his neck. And he was like, damn, Coach, you're so fucking stupid, you can't even kill yourself. I can't even, how am I gonna try to even kill anybody? So anyway, I got to know this guy, because like first night we were there, I was 18 and didn't know any better. He goes, dude, you know, wherever you go in the military, you're gonna get there at 2:30 in the morning. Then they give you all these tasks to do, and you're just freaking out, you know. So they had us clean the barracks stuff on the floor, and I walk up to them, I go, you guys have any rights to come here, then with the buffers. He goes, you guys, we want to have a beer later, right? I'm like, I think that's enough. He shows me his hat, he goes, you know what this is? I'm like, something for a sergeant hat. He was senior drill sergeant, blue guy or that. So after that, I was his pet project, you know, anytime anybody got in any trouble, Mr. Push-Ups, front center. So years go by, we're in the second excursion and, so we get a call, you know, hey, we got a unit pinned down, we need to go offer assistance, so we eliminated the Iraqis, bandaging up guys like they got hit. And all of a sudden I hear, holy shit, Mr. Push-Ups, and I turn to my old drill sergeant. Holy shit, Sergeant Push-Ups, he goes, I had my best, you turned out all right.
Saving lives.
Yeah. He's like, holy shit, and special operations unit and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, so we'll talk about the helicopter right back, saw him again. But he actually caught me one time, I fell asleep in shower all the night. You should go to attention, then you would great rest. You gotta stare at a little square at the guy's uniform in front of you, and you're probably not that far away from each other. So I open my eyes and there's a gap like this. And I look out the side of my eye and there's like 3 girls. And he was like, hey, are we bothering you? I got something for you. So he takes me outside and gets in a Humvee. He's like, start running until I get tired. Randomly, yeah, so.
The intelligent, anything to do with special forces, intelligence, a lot of that stuff. Some of the stories that you guys are, these ones you're able to tell, makes you, wow.
Yeah, there's still stuff that you weren't there, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you know.
Did they go to lunch? Or no?
I don't think so. I think they were powered. That seems like they were powered when they were growing.
Just what they're gonna get for everything. Just hanging out and see how they're.
I wouldn't be able to leave. I would have to know.
Yeah.
Like you've invested that amount of time in the race. Like I want to know where this goes. You had to stay to it.
Yeah, you gotta stay in portion.
But regards to the outcome, we're stoic. We roll with it. You can punch me if you want.
Zero back.
But, you know, it's one of those that I don't want.
So I've been up since 3:30.
If actually is
Three. I went to bed.
Oh, yeah.
And there, but I'm busy, well.
You remind me, so there's an attorney.
What was happening? Is it public secret now?
Deliberation part of the
Oh, no. Yeah, prior.
Any-
You can't look at me in the box, so you.
Yeah.
Me. They call each other here. That's fine.
Tuesday.
Slate takes.
I did this research study for shifts.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And,
I'll do with my. What I would do, see.
yes,
I especially like this.
then I think they're. They got on their full. Full at home. They had two times, you know, like which one. People that are fun, instead of an hour and a half.
More information.
South. Here. So I'm not gonna change it. Yes, that's it. So if the two parts, we study the first part. You get married, there's one of the drawers. You want to take something, it's a kitchen, first part, they cook you all up, all stuff, it sticks you.
Thanks for listening.
It's like stuff, change, like. But now, without the recharge.
Oh, yeah.
So it. Going, you know.
I'm not.
Because though, it's real. To be asleep.
Yeah. Well, I've been through sleep study, yeah.
And now.
It never.
So.
And just specific for.
Next, so I was serious on.
Till 6 p.m. So 10 to 6, it's like straight like like the guy.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Especially you got all that crap.
She'll want to transfer.
I like them 12, and I look at it more like, what? But then I couldn't leave, I had to stay at bed till 6, and then Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, and then second part of the stuff.
I don't think that's.
So I had to stay.
Charging.
I was supposed to be.
So I didn't know third.
So 8:30 to 8:30. So the second
But
part
it's-
is tired.
When you're
I'm tired. It's like 12 o'clock when the Washington. When I just can't leave. It's, you know,
Yeah.
Let's leave.
Yeah.
Just gotta stay there. So they do and stuff. And then so the second.
But it comes up so much.
Honestly, no, it's, to me, was not leave stuff. They want to sit related.
Or you can do it, it's not your same.
So I don't go enough, like it gives them a certain amount of time that they come over the intercom, she's like, Bob, you try to stay up. Oh, for like, so from 12 to 8 or 12 to like 8:30 this morning, I was like, I had like, oh.
As they're right.
I don't ever do problem up here, I'm fair. You know, so it's still be doing like this. Sleep. I'm a shaggy, we're in different things actually, but some judge, they just handled all that stuff.
Especially in the big city.
Down, you back, they probably hear it, right? And
Other than they see, I see others 5 years.
you're in, I was not there. And I'm like, they got me the next torture right there. But, yeah, I was like, every time we had work, it's just like, so it was like.
Like my whole case, and then.
Was like, you know. Damn, it's just okay. I started, I was like, 30, so I had that.
Then it's charged.
Yeah.
And so I go around to the TV and I'm like, watch the TV and then here she. Okay.
Short answer, yes.
So, so I had a little zone and I should let it.
There's performance a while. So, instruction.
Yeah.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
so
To leave,
I got a sleep doctor, you know, and so she's like, She goes, it's only even way more, like, 3-5 times, or something like that, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And she goes, it's the dress I ran with. So you used to get shut down like, I mean, it's. I said, we're sleeping as if that. That's nice data birds.
And you know, if they're male, female,
I lay off my shirt, you know, sorry, it's like.
All this blue and stuff.
Like produce. Yeah, those things are, yeah, it feels like you got glue, dry glue in your hair. This is.
Yeah. Or it's. Because I was trying to brush it, and it just went, like, okay, we're just gonna have to roll this.
Yeah,
People, what you do?
yeah, cause I'm a side sleeper, so I always had a hard time with all the crap.
Well, in this one, I don't know if they're big or what, because I've never been one before, but she said you can lay however you want to lay, and I was diving into the bell.
Yeah, me too.
I was all over the place, I was like, if they're gonna make me like just, because I can, okay.
Right.
That's just never when I think my head on his shoulder, like 3 years ago. And I thought that was the most comfortable experience of my.
Rotator cuff surgery cost me.
It wasn't quite just rotator, it was rotator bicep.
It should be.
Like, I had.
You get it all day, you get the full stuff.
Right, and it was from one incision away from a full out shoulder back there, because my bicep didn't separate. It was all easier, so I had a reattach that. But here in the rotator shoulder, both sort of is actually, because the work was all shredded. So it was a lot. I was this insulin for like 4 years.
And I still the battery.
I was like, and I.
So you can have salt in, but it's 6 months from now, like, I'm trying to learn the other guy.
Yeah, we're gonna be about a week, and I'm honor for something to long and shit.
Yes, absolutely, like somebody was right for now.
I sat here, it felt sorry, you know,
I didn't go. So I was in that, probably you're trying, brother. I was showing off, I showed.
Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to down to,
And I actually, you know, stated was. Or it was
in the market thickly.
yeah. Second one, I was in on the shoulder. I did second college. I'm up north, so my niece that used through the area, you know, Lake Michigan.
Right.
You know, I overhead lift, I can reverse bench, but when I came straight bench, I couldn't do it. So I'm basically a gym. I've got like smooth machines down there, squat racks, I get a kind of already take up. I got 3,000 pounds of weights, got a leg raise.
Oh, you got it.
All that scales. I'm down there like the day after my surgery, I'm doing side, it's the sick front lateral. So you didn't make it worse, it's by shots on it. You know what I'm saying? It's not bad. So I just, I'm going like 3 weeks later, physical therapist, she goes, okay, our goal over the next coming months is to get you be able to raise your ankle. Yeah, but, you know. Yeah, so she snitched on her, told doctors, the doctors like, you need to slow you down a little bit, so he got off my sheet, oxygen. Down there, without shots, which they do this kind of service.
So
I know my.
you watch that.
Beyond with active motion. Or we. Now it's on. He's never completely off. He's like, it's gonna be off, it's gonna be all right. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Well, it's,
What is that super like?
So like, I'm going to make some things.
no, where like I get, it's there, it with, you know, it was right, not this arm at all. It was crazy, I was like, oh my God, and it's so, my French, a very good French,
Until
years back, she last I had paralysis from.
So this is maybe.
She found respect
Yeah, everything she's got to go, that's
for
what.
all of them. And she that.
But like you should go watch. So this is what your Internet criminal justice classes first, so you can punch in.
But I'm like, I'm too shallow on.
Places.
That would be like, major life.
Oh, yeah.
Because in my head, it's not conducive to my.
It's
the work.
It's one of those, I run charge. And it would say, all right, we got a register trash fence and possibly side.
And, he goes, whatever, find out, make sure your family loves you.
The last one is what actually.
Come off the toilet. And
So
And that's what I'm saying,
you.
it's very, I'm so grateful.
I say
it's our fault.
There, they show the rest of the food.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
But I'm the,
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
So when I don't, and it's just years of actually doing the job that I used
For the, you say, without.
because I was saying, 18 years.
yeah, sometimes people are not exactly the lightest people, but.
They're not little, first of all, it's having a father, so
Yeah.
they don't help,
Yeah,
like, you know.
but when they say that, maybe they're not kidding.
Yeah,
It's,
that's a whole big, shield of things, you know.
yeah,
So it, you know, you just go in there, you do stuff, you know, just like rattle, you want to ask, but you don't realize that you're cheering or something. And even careful with your like, I'm very, very good. Very, very good, but I'm like, never, like, well, that. Yeah, because that's a given, it's like, if, I don't want it done.
no,
You know, no, redo in the few years, she might, you know, take your time to go, sleep, you know, things, all kinds of things. And you always have some kind of discomfort, just all.
see, I'm still, I'm 59 this year, but I'm still squatting, deadlifting, all that stuff. My body's like, basically, you know, I'm like, how keep going to shape or something. Yeah.
Right, so that's what he's showing, but you know, as long as the right body became, you're not gonna put yourself and just make it those foremost stronger.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's what you need.
Actually, this note has it, Lifetime Fitness, about 10 years ago, I was in there. And that's what we're still, usually when I did stuff, everybody would stop and watch. And I had 12:45, some either side, 4:45 sometime. Or 6, 9, 7, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Then I did reps and I hurt something in my knee, so I thought it was good. So I would reach down and would push the tendon over my knee would not mind, and then pain would go away, but I would just keep on going, and then I got back to losing again, and everything was good, so I thought. So 10 years down the road, my knee starts hurting, someone's like shooting a needle or something, just, don't get checked out. So my orthopedic surgeon was like, you were not good. Build up. So this wasn't. But like, it's supposed to be like, one, I must know 3 hours later. So, somebody has to and all that stuff. So he comes in, he goes, I get goes, I'll start running over this one. Both saw my old career, he goes, I don't know, one surgery. Tensest bones I've ever seen.
Wow. So that's good to know.
Put yourself under some heavy load.
Exactly.
But I used to do some stupid things. I got in power lift when I was in Germany, and these guys were close to the base, so I would go down and trim down and because out two of these guys from the German National Power League, one guy was squatting over 1,000 pounds, so I learned a lot. I said, all this. I think it's true, I think that, you know, they bring to play, it was doing another way to have speed. But I mean, you know how to say that you have something. Basically, I and I mean, I'm not walking, but I'm not stood off. I mean, it was super big. It's that's old sheet. I will just put off. I lost it. Call, she's, where's like, what? Gosh, I put my belly out bigger. I'm more thinking she said, no. It's like, you're going away. It's part potions there. So, my fat cell, face, it's like, very, I don't like pollution, I didn't see it. You don't act. It's like, I mean, she's like, no, I mean, it's see what I want to do, you like, people can do that. Like, you suck. I mean, careless, you know, shit. You go out, you hurt yourself, and then you jump one or you go to the gym, and you're like, the next 3 weeks, you know, well, it's okay, it's okay. She won't, yes. Yeah, you kind of learn and go. These days, I don't get it. It is. Actually, gave away. You've seen and I know that.
Did you quiz him?
This guy.
He won't tell you?
Oh, what he was thinking? In your head, to today, you feel that the people are back there, apartment. So no, I guess we found. Think. I won't lie though, like. I don't think we spend enough time looking at the jury today to read faces, other than I looked at one time like I've been talking to. Like I did realize that, but. He and I both had similar poker faces.
I've never,
Yeah, after you said, I'm like, we both reacted in similar ways a couple times, where I'm like, whoa.
He was doing his testimony, you know, slaps, you know, there's just. And her testimony and his testimony were aligned a little bit too much for her to not be able to see him. You know?
Judge, the,
It's. I said, you know,
No. Okay, they got already. The bat signal made it. Yeah. You want the other water actually? I got.
They use our.
Thanks for sharing that with the students.
He drives for the church?
Have a seat. Ms. Snapke, you're the only one carrying paperwork, so it looks like they picked you. Would you let the courtroom know what the decision was?
Yeah, we find the defendant not guilty.
Thank you. You want me to poll?
No.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna ask you to go back in the jury room. I'll be in there just a minute. I'm gonna get you out of here quick, I promise. Now take your stuff with you. If you got any personal property, take it with, we're gonna let you out another way. We're not gonna bring you through the courtroom.
And thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Mr. Peckrell, just follow him right on in. Hey, fellas,